it's Amy Stair, CEO of Star Power, and I can hardly believe we are hitting the 3-year anniversary of Star Power Club. Man, have we had some great interviews over these first 3 years. And we thought, why not pull out some of the most exciting, most relevant, most practical, highlight topics and strategies for you. So dive on in. I hope you really enjoy experiencing these sound bites from all 3 years of the interviews. Enjoy. Get your brain fired up because there's so much value waiting for you. We're going to get into your marketing because you do a ton of marketing. Before we do that, I know there's a lot of debate about technology versus relationship, high tech, high touch, if you will. Mm-hmm. And that's even one of the universities back in the day that you attended. You have very specific perspective on what's important there.
Right. So, you know, we all know that so many people, I know a million people that do this, they sign up for the latest and greatest, and they're even telling everybody, you should sign up for this, you should do this, you should do that. And so you do it. And it's not necessarily what you like to do. And the problem is that if you don't like to do it, it's hard to get other people, if you have a team, enthusiastic. And if it's just you, it's hard to be enthusiastic about something you don't like to do. Mm-hmm. So what I found for me, so high tech, high touch university was amazing because I was only touch and there was no tech. And, you know, this is way back in the day. I mean, how many years ago? But then we kind of went the other way, like trying to do too much tech, you know, and then I started getting emails from like 25 realtors in a day that all had this, they were all signed up for the same top producer or whatever. And I'm thinking, I literally never even read them. I just delete, unsubscribe. So I'm like, so our conversion ratio was like horrible on internet leads. And then I found out, and I discovered that for my personal team, it just wasn't the way to go. I'm not knocking it because I know Brenda Wade kills it with Boomtown and all that. I mean, but you have to have the right systems in place and the right people in place to implement those systems. So for me, it's more in the high touch.
Yeah.
And yes, are we doing things? Definitely. We're still doing things high tech, but we're definitely more 70% this and 30% technology.
Yeah. So let's talk about that 70% because it's your sweet spot.
Yeah. So for us, I mean, basically it's client events. It's housewarming parties, which we stopped during COVID. We had to come up with a different plan. So we were delivering charcuterie trays to everybody with custom engraved boards.
Oh, nice.
You know, when COVID hit, we stopped doing that. Client events. One thing we did this last winter, which was hilarious. I mean, kind of funny. During COVID, we had to come up with some creative ideas. So I hired a Santa Claus with his house. It was came on a trailer, and Santa was in the house that said North Pole. And families could literally go into this house by themselves with Santa, who was at least 6 feet apart, behind a desk, and they got to take their own pictures with Santa.
Oh, wow.
So he was in all the pictures like this, and the kids would be, you know, this far apart. And then we had little bags that, you know, our lenders gave, and people were so thrilled because their kids had, I think it was this last December, yeah. And then we always did the pie thing where you gave out pies. This year we did a drive-through one. And I found that was so great. It was great. I think we're just going to keep doing it that way because we got to say hi to people, but then somebody was pulling up, so they had to go. You know, we didn't want to hang out with them. You know, we gave away almost 300 pies, right?
Yeah.
So it's a long time to talk to people all day long. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Did you find that the referrals that you're getting as an end result of those events?
Huge. Because
so no impact. You changed it for COVID, and you're still getting
no
the same
impact. No
good results.
As a matter of fact, when I get back, I'm going on a listing appointment. The guy goes, "Remember, on Pi Day we talked," and I'm like, "Yeah, I remember. Not really, but I remember." And he said, "Yeah, so the time is here." You know, he said, "You always do so much for us." So, and it's just so much easier to convert a warm lead.
Right.
So if you really cultivate the warm leads, and the people go, well, at a certain point they age out. But they have kids, they have grandkids, and
friends and coworkers.
And when they go to that Thanksgiving dinner and they take the pie, which has my label on it and whatever, a lot of times they're having their kids pick up the pie, you know. So I've sold so many of my clients adult children's houses now. So it's just easier. It's just so much less of a hassle than trying to hope that you're the person that answers the Zillow call first, you know. It's
right.
And then So that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm more definitely high touch.
You're a big fan of the real estate review.
Yes, absolutely.
How are you implementing that? For those who aren't familiar at all with when he says ninja programs, we're talking about Larry Kendall's ninja selling. What specifically are you doing?
So I'm doing a lot of, the real estate review's been the center of what I've been doing. And I put together it's about a 40-page real estate review using the RPR report, which we have available in our MLS. And I'm sure, I think that all realtors have access to RPR reports. There's a 28-page property report in there. It goes over how the schools in the neighborhood are doing, demographics, other shifts in your neighborhood. And then I'm using a yearly MLS report that's just a 6-page report showing what's happened with values in Denver overall. And I'm adding to that a comparable sales in the neighborhood, and then I'm just organizing that together in a book that our brokerage provides some really nice looking they're heat bound books, and you can just put the whole thing together, and it looks great. It looks like it looks like a piece of published material. After I put that together, so I put the work in to make the book. Once I've done that work, then I pick up the phone and I make a phone call to the homeowner and just tell them, hey, I have a real estate review ready for you. You want to go sit down, grab a beer or grab a coffee, have lunch. We can go over real estate review and just hang out for half hour or an hour. Sometimes people don't have time, which is great. I've made my phone call. I've gotten in touch with them, and then I just put that book into an envelope and I send it. I use a prepaid one from the postage from the post office. It costs $8.95 to send it, and it goes in the mail. If I didn't produce the book first, once somebody said no, I just don't have enough time to get together right now, I wouldn't make the book and I wouldn't send it. So that's why I do it in that order.
It's accountability for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Smart. Very smart. What sort of reaction do you get from people?
It's been everything from crickets, I don't hear anything back, to people saying, this is just amazing. Thank you so much for putting this together for me. Most of the people that find it really valuable are people who work in referral-based businesses, people who have that kind of material in their lives, and they're like, oh, this is something that actually has the facts. It has all the math. It really it appeals to people who are tactile, and it appeals to people who are kind of math focused. I also put a handwritten note in every one of them. Which for my ninja coach, it gets rid of one note for the week, but it also it also shows the people who want to know that I really care. It shows that this is something that I did and I'm thinking about them, and every note is personal and it's in my terrible handwriting. So they know it's from me.
So let's talk about social media.
Yeah.
Because you're a hound.
Yeah.
You are on it.
Yeah.
Did that come naturally to you? How did you get started, and what are you doing now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, I'm a very big people person, but for social media, I wasn't really that great at that. I've only been doing it for 3 years, and I've been in the career for almost 10 years now. So it's like I was concerned about being judged online, being concerned about how people might feel about me or feel about things. And really, it was just a comfort zone thing. And so I got a really good friend of mine that's really big on social media, and he'd been telling me for years, hey, you need to pay more attention to this and invest more into it. And so I finally started out with just trying to do 3 posts a week, and then posting my story or my Snapchat every day. And then from there, it turned to 5, and then 7. And then now my goal is at least do 2 times a day, right? And so that 2 times a day has just started a month ago. But
Okay, so for those people I know are watching who are freaking out about twice a day,
yeah,
let's roll back to the 3 times a week.
yeah.
Did you have a specific, I'm going to do this on this day, this on that day, or it was just get on and do something?
Yeah, so we'll just get on and do something.
Okay.
So that was the 3 times a week. When I went to 5 is when I actually hired a videographer and
Okay.
had him come and shoot with me for 4 or 5 days at a time, once a month, right? And then with that being said, there were so many things that I would do in one day that we could cut that up into 10, 15 pieces of content. And it's just simple as you having a phone call with your client. We have to remember sometimes that some people don't get to see the different sides of our life. They just see us posting houses for sale and closing deals. And so they don't really get to see the in-between stages or the stressful conversations or the times when things fall apart in transactions. And they're curious about all that. Either prospective agents or even clients are just curious about how that stuff works. So I think that, that's what I did is hired that person. And then I ended up getting a consultant lady that helped me organize the content. Because again, I said I was effort and energy. Processes wasn't always my thing. So she kind of helped me decided, all right, here's, 5 to 7 days a week of content. Well, here's what the themes you should post on those different days for the most part. Yeah.
Great. How many platforms?
So I just started at the beginning, which is Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
And then now I do Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
Okay, so you said the T word, TikTok.
Yeah.
There's a lot of controversy right now about whether or not that's a good platform for real estate. What are you guys discovering with TikTok?
I think in general, it's about where people are at. I don't know what the controversy is on the details of that, to be honest. I just think that, it's funny. I was talking to a guy that I knew of, but I didn't know personally. And his kid was on there and saw some of my content. He said, hey, do you know this person? Which was his dad. And like a week or two later, his dad had called me. And I said, hey, this guy mentioned your name on TikTok. Is he related to you or something? He said, oh, yeah, that's my son. So it's just funny that, the world can be so small. And so I think that there's a lot younger generation on TikTok. And I'm even still trying to figure out how to make even more entertaining content for that, as well as making the time to do it, right? So that's also the challenge. But I think TikTok's a good place, to be. And again, I don't do all these platforms every day. I say Instagram, Facebook, for the most part, is almost every day. But it's one of those things where, because that's a lot of where my sphere is at, is Instagram and Facebook. But it's one of those things where if you can just start with, commit to 1 post a week for yourself, if you don't post at all, and then from there, go to 3 times a week and then decide where you want to go from there. Even if you're not social or anything, it's just about just reminding people that you're in a business or reminding them that you're a real person. You don't have to just post real estate content. You can post other pieces of your life as you get more and more comfortable.
So if you were sitting down with someone who has not started shooting video,
Yeah.
give me three topics I could start with. What are the things I should just jump off and do?
So I think you take your cell phone and you hit the record button and you just simply talk about your day for a second. Maybe just talk about the things that happened in that day, right? One of your deals fell apart, or you just got one in contract and you're excited about it, or your dog had to go get her shaved up or something, or get her washed. just be yourself, right? Yeah. And I know that there's a lot of people that are very introverted, so I know that sometimes that can be a challenge, or people that are very private. Let me use that word better. I think that if you're very private, then start with the camera facing outward, and then over time you get more comfortable with it facing inward towards you.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Now you just got on TikTok.
Yes, not too long ago, maybe about a year ago.
And what prompted you to do that?
Well, I had an agent in my office that had just come in, and we were talking. I was onboarding him. I had a couple of documents that we were putting together, and he mentioned to me that he was on TikTok, and he mentioned to me that he had 200,000 followers.
What?
And I dropped. I said, what? And he turned around, showed me his phone, and I saw it. So I said to him, well, you know what? I need you to show me this. So he immediately sat me down, got me started, got me going, and started talking to me about how to do it. And, in my mind, the thought process was this. It's a much younger generation, much younger following, but kids have influence over their parents.
They do.
And I'm thinking if you can hit the child, you can get to the parent. They'll say, hey, Dad, Mom, look at this, and you never know. You might make a phone call, make a contact. And, considering it didn't really cost anything, I was all in.
And you're multi-purposing that, right?
Yes.
Because I think I saw you just did a great little TikTok on your commercial property.
Yes.
And that was on Facebook, right?
Yes, yes.
But it was a TikTok video.
Yeah, well, actually, what I do was this. I do a video specifically for Facebook, and then I did a video specifically for TikTok.
And why is that?
Because they're two different platforms, okay? And there's two different audiences, so you have to be specific on each audience that you do a video for. It's difficult to do one video and then do it across multiple platforms because it doesn't work. So that particular video you saw on TikTok was designed for that.
I got you.
70% of home buyers shop their homes from the internet. At the beginning of my career, I was always, and I still do it because I know there's still a big group of people that like to see magazines and stuff, but the majority is on the internet.
Yeah.
So I'm in every single platform. I have the Instagram, the Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook for my personal accounts, and I also for the company. So I like to promote our company, and I like to promote myself as a real estate agent. I still do school banners, I still postcards, advertising, paper advertising. But I'm a firm believer that social media, it gives you an opportunity, especially because first of all, it's free. And, and a lot of people don't take advantage of that, how that is free. So a lot of agents don't understand that social media is free and you can do so much and you can reach to so many people immediately. So one of the things that I do personally, I like to post in social media constantly, but you have to be consistent. It's like in any other career, you have to be consistent. A lot of people think that, oh, I just posted something about real estate on Monday, and they go and don't post anything for 10 days. That looks bad on you. You have to post on social media at least between 3 and 4 times a week. And the other thing is you have to post on social media at very particular times. For example, you have to think when people are in front of their phones.
Yes.
And that's something that it's not like I come up with that, but it's all over. You just have to educate yourself. What is the first thing that people do when they wake up in the morning?
Glance at their phone.
Glance at their phone. So if you want to post something that you want people to see it, you have to post it around 7:30 and a.m. in the morning, because that's the time that people are going to see it. If you go and post something like around 11, it's not going to have the same impact and the same amount of views that if you post in the morning.
Yeah.
So that's one of the secrets that a lot of people don't know. The other thing is videos. Videos, it's the name of the game right now. And it has to be 59-second videos. A lot of people think that, oh, well, I'm just going to post in social media, and they go on and post something that's 5 minutes, 6 minutes. No, don't do that. Because what happens is whenever you post a video on the internet or Facebook or something, the first thing that people are going to do is with this finger, they're going to look into the video and they're going to go like this. You see, move that little bar under the video to see how long is that video. If the video is 5 minutes, people don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Because people want to scroll in everything and they want to read everything about everything. So you have to try to be concise, and then you have to be very clear of your message.
Yes.
What do you want to say? If you want to make it like in different messages and different videos, that's something that it's totally recommended. To me, social media has been amazing because I got a lot of business from it. One of the things that I do in Facebook, and this is something that I'm being asked all the time by my agents, because they're like, oh, well, I'm an agent, I'm supposed to have a Facebook business page, right? That's true, you can have that, but you are not like a star from, like a personality, TV personality or something. So, and when you have a personal account on Facebook, you send friend requests. When you have a business page, you invite people for them to follow you on your page. Nobody wants to follow you. Nobody wants to follow you because they know that you are going to be just posting things about real estate. And people may like it, but people like gossip. People like to know what are you doing, what are you eating, what places you're visiting, the trips you're taking. So I always tell everybody, yes, have your Facebook business page, because whenever you want to post something for a customer, let's say you want to post an advertising of a property, and you have to post, you have to pay for that. You have to have your Facebook business page. Your Facebook business page, for example, allows you to pay advertising. So with your personal, you can. So you can have the two combined, but you also need to use your personal Facebook as your main real estate.
You're not constantly reinventing the wheel. Your own content is recyclable, repurposable. So talk to the viewers just a little bit about that. I mean, here's what I hear, Stacy. Well, I can't repeat the same stuff I had. Why? You have a different philosophy. Why is that?
Yeah. There's a wonderful book and podcast and Instagram called The Lazy Genius. And I love this gal. She's so smart. And she takes the messiness of my brain and really simplifies it. And one of the things that she talks about, one of her big aha things for me, is decide once. Decide once. So that goes into marketing. I've decided that I'm going to spend the time to figure out this data and these numbers. I'm going to use it as many places as I can.
Okay.
It's going to be on Instagram. It's going to be in my, once a month newsletter, whatever. Things like closing gifts, where there's a lot of feelings on closing gifts. I know some people are like, I'm not doing a closing gift, but I, for a while there, was trying to tailor a closing gift to every client. We talked about this. I'm going to get them a book on that, or I'm going to get them a Home Depot card because they've got to do all this work to the house. The lazy genius would say, just pick a gift that works for everybody and just simplify your life. It's things like that. I write a happy home anniversary card for all of every month, the first of every month. That's one of the things that we do. My assistant goes through the database, double checks the tax records. We send a note card to every person. Well, I have been writing handwritten letters. Well, now at 7 years in, that is getting to be quite the pile on the first of every month on my desk. I'm like, ooh. So we just decided last week, we got with a local vendor and we're going to just send a coupon for carpet cleaning. And I can write a little note on the side, hope you guys are still loving it. Cause I send it, whether it's been 1 year or it's been 7 years, they get a card from me every anniversary. So I'm going to lazy genius this thing. I'm deciding once. That's what the card's going to say. It just got designed. In fact, I just saw it this morning. It looks great and it simplifies. So
I'm going to call that efficiency.
Yeah.
I know some of you have this beef with the word lazy, so I'm going to say you're an efficient genius, Stacy. That's what it sounds like to me.
Holly made a QR code for our Google reviews. And so anybody that had not done one for us, we asked them at closing, we held up the little sign and let them capture it with their phone and give us a Google review. So we picked up more that way.
That's so cool.
It was fun.
Why did you decide that was something important for you guys to do?
The Google reviews? Well, a couple of years ago, not last conference, the conference before that, we decided that we were going to really concentrate on getting the Google reviews. So went back after a conference and I sent a text to everybody that I thought might do it. And if they agreed, then we sent them the link and they did it. And so we're up to 209, I think now. So it's fun. I love it.
Why text instead of email?
Well, I don't know. I just feel like it's me talking directly to them that way, but I'm not actually calling and interrupting their day.
Right. Well, your results are proof enough that you chose the right path.
It worked.
And your message is real simple.
Yeah.
You mind sharing it?
Sure. It's just, hi, Amy. This is Kathy Haney. Would you mind giving us a 5-star Google review? If it's okay, let me know, and we'll send you an email. And that's it.
So it's that simple, you guys. Everybody's always asking, how do I get these reviews? You just made it, and you asked for a 5-star review. I love that.
Yeah. And when we send the Google link, it says, if you cannot give us 5 stars, call me immediately.
Has anyone ever called you?
Nope. They just gave me the 5 stars.
I love that.
Red envelopes every quarter to our past clients, and they're always tied to a local business. So like last fall in October, we did 2 free pizzas from a local pizza place. You take your take your coupon in and you get 2 free pizzas. And so what we try to do is tie it to local businesses where our customer database has something of value. They can go in and try a new business. Works for us, works for them. It's just another valuable point of contact.
What's the arrangement you make with the vendors?
I could lie to you, I don't know. Chelsea does it. Right?
That's wonderful. You have someone who's taking care of it.
Yeah, she takes care of it all. I mean, it's just, she strikes a deal with them. She gets it approved through me, and I'm like, that's fine. Let's do that. And, it's like, like this coming month, it's a local bakery to where they have, I think it's like a $10 or $15 coupon where they can go in and get free stuff at this local bakery.
That's great.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's cool.
Why the red envelope?
Just so they remember it. Same thing, comes in. We have people now who are like, I'm waiting on my red envelope. Or when I'll call, they'll be like, oh, I thought it was going to be a thing telling us about a red envelope. Because they know there's something coming and most of them like it. I mean, whether it's a free thing from the bakery, whether it's a free thing from the pizza joint, whatever it is, they know when they see that it's our team and it's going to be something hooked up with a local business. So we also do bomb videos with that to let them know it's coming. So we do some promotion up to when it comes, and then we do promotion with them after it is. So it's every quarter, but you spend a couple, 3 weeks on the front side and a couple, 3 weeks on the back side.
Right.
So you can utilize it for the whole quarter. So it's like 4 times a year, but you get a lot more touches than that from it.
Let's talk about your geographic farming.
I've done, right now we farm 4 neighborhoods, and 2 of those neighborhoods I farmed for over probably 15 years, I think. So, and I just believe in, I think you can't, the best place to start as far as if you're a new agent is to pick a neighborhood. And it's real important to do research on the neighborhood and make sure there's not one agent that's dominating. If there's one agent who's getting most of the listings, don't even bother. That's just, and also ideally a neighborhood that turns over relatively, not an old neighborhood that 2 sold last year. Obviously you need some good turnover. So, and ours are a mixture of older neighborhoods, newer neighborhoods. We added, one that is actually we both live in neighborhoods side by side. We live a mile away from each other, less than a mile away from each other. So and they kind of run into each other. So we added that neighborhood just thinking, well, we live here. So that's only been about a year and a half, 2 years. So we haven't gotten as much out of that. But I wasn't as consistent in the mailings until I actually went to a luxury convention. And I met a representative from Real Marketing Company, and they have a really beautiful piece it's a 4-page fold over, and it's very high-end, glossy looking. And the neighborhoods aren't all high price. I mean, I guess 2 out of the 4 are, but it's just a nice piece. They provide articles, but then I can also, I could create the whole thing the way I wanted to, but I don't. But I use several of their articles, and then I do several articles that I write, and that's about the team. And that's kind of always been my forte. I think that helped me through the years brand myself, where, once I had a radio show and I had a jingle, and I went to a grocery store and I gave them a check. Those were the days. And and she said, "Oh, Linda Fox Jarvis," and started singing my jingle to me. I always thought that was the best. But the branding is just something that I have built up through the years with the Geo Farms, with our Sphere Marketing, with just regular
So
things.
how often are you hitting your geographic farm?
We do it 4 times a year. And then we also, on top of that, we send a calendar around Christmas. We have we started out having 2 Sphere client events, but now we've started inviting the Geo as well to, one is in the summer, we're doing a evening at the aquarium. Where we're reserving it for a private event, so to speak, and then we also do a fall festival in the fall where where they have pumpkin patch and farm animals, etc. So we have a booth there that they give us a nice table set up, and we greet people and we give them tickets to the event.
So this is interesting. What's your thought process on adding a geographic farm into something that's traditionally considered do that for your past clients in sphere of influence. What are you guys hoping that creates?
Well, we started, as I said, with the 2 client events, and we've also done things like, toy drive and diaper drive, and what was the other thing? The picking up donations for a homeless shelter. So we sent, and it was kind of just, well, we're sending this out. We have about 1,000 in our database of our sphere, and it just kind of thought, well, and what's interesting when you have an event, the fall festival, for example, I think, what did we have?
A lot of the sphere, a lot of the geo farms actually don't come because I think they look at it that who is this person more or less. But then when I go on a listing appointment, they'll bring up, oh, and we got that invitation to that thing that was so nice. They don't actually want to come because they don't know us really. But I think just the idea we are willing to apparently pay for 5,000 people to show up.
That's how many were invited.
Yeah, that they look at that was so generous and nice for us to do that. So, we prepare that it could happen, but it has not happened.
Well, no, and even our sphere, we don't, I think at the first one we did, we had about not even 50 people come. So that's kind of was part of it is, people get it, people think it's nice, people have plans, they don't feel like doing it, they think they're going to do it and then they don't. So we just said, let's go ahead and invite the sphere. And kind of a little nervous thinking, what if, 500 people show up, but they didn't. So
what I'm hearing there is it's additional touches for your farm, first of all, but it's also establishing that you're coming from a place of giving.
Another thing I know you do a lot of is client appreciation.
Yeah.
When in the process does that start for you? Because I think this is very interesting.
It starts with the appointment. So when we get an appointment, we send them thank you for the appointment video. And then at every milestone, when I meet with them and I get the listing, we have logoed flower arrangements that are sent immediately that say, thank you very much for the listing. We're looking so forward, and my whole team signs it. Or if I'm not in the office, they'll sign my name, but everybody's on there. And then at every milestone, when we have a photo shoot, we leave behind cookies because our clients aren't there at the shoot. It says, thank you for preparing your home for your shoot. And then just every milestone after that. Right through closing, of course, we give a closing gift. And then 2 weeks after they close, we send them a fun envelope with a mask and set of earplugs and says, we say, we hope you're sleeping well in your new home. Just fun things.
I love it. We hope you're sleeping well in your new home.
Yeah.
Because follow up and that relationship, it doesn't end with the closing.
No.
The beginning to become a repeat customer kind of starts right when the transaction ends.
It does. And that's not even, in between, we give them moving labels when their appraisal passes. Just figure out something to do every milestone, and you don't have to spend a fortune.
Oh my gosh, the housewarming parties is what we started with, because there was just this idea of, I like working with buyers. So I would tell gosh, if I had 10 more just like her, then my business would be amazing. I'm like, well, where do you get 10 people just like her? You know what? She knows 10 people just like her because we all hang out with people that are just like us. So it was $200 that we would spend. And we literally went to Costco, bought all the stuff, and threw it out there on a Saturday afternoon from 2 to 5 and just met all of her friends. And inevitably, another 2 deals, another 3 deals, every time we would do a housewarming party. And it was $200. And it could look any which way because they don't know how it's supposed to go, which is a beautiful part. Right. So if you want to have pizzas show up, you can do pizzas. They're just thrilled because they're getting something.
And there's 2 lessons I want to make sure we hear in that. One is if you know that you're giving more, right? Like you said, if you know that you're giving, call reluctance will naturally go down. It's so giving in that situation could be about that you're giving in the party, and that's fine. Sometimes we can take that to the extreme where we try to throw these more elaborate parties. That's fine. The other thing is that you don't necessarily have to give without taking. You can actually make a request that can then become the give. So I'll give you an example in the current market. We're in a market right now where we're super low on inventory, right? So if you're calling through your database, one call that you can always make is you can put in mind one buyer that you really, really want to help find a house. And now if you consider that buyer and consider what they're looking for, now you start calling through your database and you realize that, like, if I call and say to somebody, hey, do you know anybody in your neighborhood that's thinking about selling? Is that a give or is that a take? Well, that's a take. I'm taking right now, right? But if I call and I first start with the story of this buyer that they just sold their house, they're under contract, we've got about 50 days left in this post-occupancy agreement, and they're going to be homeless, and they're expecting baby number 3 in about 75 days, and I am just trying to help them find a house before baby number 3 is here. Do you happen to know anybody in your neighborhood that is even thinking about selling? Have you heard a whisper? And now all of a sudden, I am still requesting, right? We'll call it taking, but it's for somebody else, right? We heard somebody else speak recently talking about their charity, right? Like they built a charitable organization. Same thing. If you tie in what you're doing with a charity, now all of a sudden every client interaction that you have, it's a call to give first. You're giving to somebody else by reaching out to your clients. It's a give and a take, and it is totally authentic. And I think that'd be the other comment is when Alice talked about, I worked with this client and I loved them. How do I make 10 more just like them? We would do well to, over time, go back and say, what does my ideal client look like? Who is the person, who's the avatar, right? In marketing terms of who's the type of client that this is what lights me up. I want to serve more people like this. By the way, you might find over time that it went from buyers or went to sellers. It might say inside of the client space. You also might find it goes into the team member space. We, as we were coming here this morning, we had a team member that just went through a 4-day neurolinguistic programming course. So this is somebody that's been working with us for 8-9 years. She just went through a 4-day course, and that lights me up. It lights me up that somebody inside of our world just went to some personal growth that had a profound impact on her life.
So what are you doing I know you guys do a lot of marketing.
Yes.
So what are you doing to market right now to get business in the door?
We've always been about our community. We're really, again, I'm in a smaller area, so everything that we do has been for a long play, right? It was about doing things for the teachers in our area and the need things that are in our area when, whether it's food-based or whatever the need may be, we've always tried to show up for that. We try to offer fun. When Lindsay Smith started his restaurant page, when COVID started, I copied him and did it in my community, and I have almost 20,000 people on my restaurant page where I went in and said, hey, if we want food when this is over, we've got to get them through right now. So
this is on Facebook for those of you who aren't familiar with this.
We did a Facebook page, and so we're constantly community minded, and so that's always going to come back because people really do know my heart is there, and I'm investing in the community constantly.
So give me some examples of that.
Well, I at every holiday, I'm doing giveaways, teacher appreciation. I just, did appreciation gifts. I go into the schools and I do lunch for the teachers, and we just go in and we cater lunch, not on Teacher Appreciation Week, on a different week. We just pick and we'll go in and just hang out with them. We take them apples for the teacher. We have a great lunch, desserts, giveaways, and just hang out with them to say, the reason my area is so good is because my schools are so good. And I know that's you every day getting up and coming. I want to say thank you to you. And they love it. And I have never done a lunch I didn't get at least one sale off of while I was, over the next 6 months, a teacher that came through. I do days of gratefulness at the end of the year where we've come through our sowing and harvesting, if you will. And so now we're just thankful. And we do giveaways for a week. And, our final giveaways were several $1,000s where we combine it. So if you donate something for my giveaway, you give me 2. So I give one that day and one at the end. So that's really fun. We do Partners in Giving, where I have people that want to do business with me come in and they spend a day with my team. They get 20 minutes to an hour, depending on how much they want to contribute. And then we donate that money and I match it. So this year we gave $38,000 to a local like foster home situation that takes kids that are in crisis and keeps them together as families, and a food bank. So we split it.
So you're talking about other agents coming in to spend time with your team, or
Loan
who's-
officers, title company, you know, people that support us all year long, or, you know, home warranty, someone that's wanting to get in the door and talk to my team. I tell them, listen, we do that in November, and they donate. The minimum they can donate is $400, and they get 20 minutes. But you donate more, you can get lunch, you can get dinner, because my team is valuable.
Yes.
And so they contribute. And our first year we did it, I think we raised $4,000. And this year, like I said, we were close to 40. And we love to do that. And so we're telling everybody about it all through it. I do the toffee giveaway, you know that, in where every year, my first year that I did the toffee, I gave 60 boxes to my customers, went back around, said, hey, it was a pop by, if you will. And this year we did over 3,000 boxes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so it's quite a big deal, but everybody knows.
Brenda's not taking those 3,000 boxes around.
No, we take a day where our whole team does it, and we get a lot out. We probably get 1,000 out in one day.
Wow.
And then I have hired elves who do the rest for us. And so that's a good thing for us. We do a lot of things that are just community spirited. And if anybody knows if there's ever really a need in the community, to reach out, we'll help them meet it.
So that you guys are clear, Kathy sold the business. She's now a team under the umbrella, and they rebranded.
I work for my kids.
The Russell Group, right? It's no longer Kathy Russell team.
Russell Company.
Russell Company, thank you. And do you mind sharing how well you're doing production-wise?
Oh, well.
Just you and Nikki and a transaction coordinator.
Right. We did 170 transactions and 41 million. But this year. But last year we did 48 million. I don't even know how many transactions it was during COVID. But it's interesting because we crank out so much business, but people don't understand what we do. Like my day starts at 6 o'clock. I turn on the news because I'm a news junkie, because I have a news anchor for a son-in-law. So I like to watch him. And then I text him the phrase that pays, and then he'll say it on the news. So anyway, so I turn on the news and I start going through my buyers and sellers. Every day I go through the buyers and sellers, and I have a flip. My new procedure is I have a little thing that I carry in my purse, and I have flipped over, and I write down all the buyers and sellers. They're all in the database, but I need I'll put one little thing to jar my memory about what they're looking for.
You were doing that back in the 90s.
I was sticky notes and all that. So then I look over my day, and I text Nikki and say, did we do anything with this guy? What's going on with did we get that sign picked up? Blah, blah, blah. We pick up our own signs and lock boxes too, and put them out, just so you know. I mean, I figure if I'm there, why can't I can step on a sign and put it in the yard? Why do I need to have somebody that we pay to
you
go do
still got
that?
your little hammer for when the
Yeah, I do, but you know, I found that they break the stems off, so I don't use it anymore. Anyway, so so Nikki and I get on the phone, and the number of times that we talk to somebody individually is not very much. We group text and we talk to people, so we both know what's going on with everything. And it's amazing how much we can get done, you know.
Clearly.
That's
a lot of transactions.
Yeah.
For teams, I see marketing going two directions. I see rainmakers who it's their face on every piece of marketing. I see rainmakers who've made the decision to market the entire team. What goes into your choice to go team versus Allison's on everything?
Yeah, I'm a full-on melding of that. Usually, because I have a farm area that I market to, and I'm a condo and townhome. That's my niche. That's what I stick to. That's not all I do, but that's who my farm is condos and townhomes.
Okay.
And so when I send out a postcard, and I still do a lot of geographic farming, and postcards are still effective in my area. And I'll have, like, if it's both sides, maybe my picture's on the front and the team pictures is on the back. And, I want to make sure that, First of all, because I am blanking it out to all of our customers. You know, I don't want my team to think, oh, I'm trying to poach their customers or whatever like that, because it's not that way at all. So we do both. Yeah.
Great.
But I still want them to know my name. I mean, I would say my name is primary on the farming, but all of our marketing, our website is very team oriented. I'm on it, of course, as the broker owner.
Right.
But I don't really feel like my name is even much more prominent.
But being able to focus on what I need to do to make the bottom line, because I am all about bullet points, bottom line. I know exactly how many people I need to be in front of to make a deal, to make the numbers, and know that my bottom line's where I need to be. And I wish that I had done that. I mean, I've done it for 10 years. I wish I had done it at the very beginning. If I had anything to say to a newbie, get a coach, be a sponge for education. So I use something called a triple track, and it gives me the attainable money that I want to make. It gives me a push factor, and it shows me last year's numbers. And surprisingly, I just keep going up and up and up, even over COVID.
So tell me more about how specifically you use that. You have these 3 numbers, you identify them, and then what do you do with them?
I break them down per month and per quarter. So I know the numbers that I have to make. In my market in North Carolina, no matter what, I sell 25% a quarter. We are not seasonal. I was not even seasonal during COVID. I just sort of ignored it, put my head down, my chin up, and said, I'm going to make the deals. I know that if in the first quarter, if I'm ahead, say $20,000 on my commission income, I know that that's a good thing. I never want to be behind. But if in any of these years, if I am behind a little bit, then I know I've got to push it up. So with this current market, lack of inventory, it's untraveled waters. I know right now I've got to meet with about 3 times the amount of people that I normally would do in a normal year to be able to make those numbers. So I'm constantly looking at that. We track absolutely everything we do. We know where every bit of business comes from, and it's amazing.
Well, you gotta go back to the basics. And here's what I think has happened in the last couple of years. A lot of realtors have gotten just super lazy, and they're just thinking we can go in there, we can get it, it's gonna sell tomorrow. So they've stopped doing a lot of things you shouldn't stop doing. I still send out a pre-listing book that is very detailed. It's to the DISC personalities for whoever picks that up. All the tabs are going to take you right there. I send a homework book for them to do. So that goes. So already before I meet them at the door, they know something about me. And when I show up and the key to their front door is on my book, score! Okay, so I still do that. I still share when I show up and I don't know them, I share what the marketing is going to be before we ever talk about a market analysis on their home. And right now in this market, I always tell them, you'll never price it too low. The market won't let you price it too low. But what you need to really worry about is, do you have the right realtor to help you through the negotiations and help you find the real buyer who's going to make it to the closing table? So I go back to old school and I show them what I'm doing. I still do brochures. I still do feature cards on my listings. I still do full professional pictures. I do videos. I have not gotten lazy. And you know what? It's gained me listings, just like it used to do, because other people coming through with their realtors that were in the multiple offer situation, they've called me to list their home because of the way I presented this property, which we're not seeing done very much anymore. So that's a big one right there.
The basics work.
You're in a rural market. Give us a profile of what that market looks like right now.
So the things that always stand out to me as being so different from everybody else is we are small. Riverton is our big town in our county, and we have a population of 10,000 people. And so obviously much smaller than most of the agents you talk to. And our sales price average is much lower. We are so ecstatic, sort of, that our sale price is now in Riverton right around 240, our average, and in Lander it's about 360. And so it's a much lower sales price, which then makes it so that some of the things that we see at conferences really aren't cost effective. And so it's a fun challenge to figure out, hey, how can I take this idea and maneuver it to work in a market where our average sales price is less and we have a little bit different type of marketing situation.
So give me an example of something you've picked up at conference and gone back and implemented, but you've put the Wyoming twist on it, let's say.
Right. So a couple different things we've done. One of my favorites is our moving trailer. So I'm sure it was a Star Power conference I went to and everybody was having these moving trucks and I loved it because it was such a great service to the client and such an added value feature. But I looked at the cost of moving trucks and the cost of the houses we were selling and I was like, oh, this is not going to work. But because we live in rural America, most people have a truck or access to a truck. And so we were able to get a cargo trailer, and then we kept seeing wraps in Vegas where they drive up and down the street. And so my husband and I talked about that when we were in Vegas one time, and we wrapped the trailer. So then we'd have the billboard and the trailer all for the same price.
That's fantastic.
So, yes. That's been super fun. Also, open houses apparently are fabulously successful all across the country. In our market, they are not. And I tried everything to make them work. We had poker runs and picnics and barbecues, and they just were not a success. And so we started before COVID doing Facebook Live tours. And so we would have an open house, but it would be on Facebook so people could watch it from home or whenever suited their fancy. And that has been really successful, and it was a great thing to have in place when COVID did come along and when we were a little bit locked down for a while.
I want to go a little deep on luxury for a moment, because I think there is something different in serving a luxury clientele. And I think you've made some deliberate choices and you think about your marketing, your photography, everything a little bit differently. Can you share a little bit about how you approach it and what's different from then serving maybe a lower price point where you used to be?
Yes. So if somebody's buying or selling a luxury home, whatever that means in your market, I mean, there's no point in using numbers because everyone's market is different, but there are certain commonalities. Generally, those people are successful. You know, not too many lottery winners that I've ever worked with, right? You know, they work their way to wherever they are, and they're used to partnering with people. They hire experts, right? They have probably great accountants, great attorneys, maybe interior designers, maybe, you know, great design build firms. Whatever it is that they do, they're used to hiring experts. So if you don't consider yourself or position yourself as truly one of their advisors, you're not going to resonate with them, right? So I'm always in a role of trying to play out options for people. Well, we could do this and this might happen, or this could happen, or this could happen. Which path would be best for you? So I think that's really important, is to just be one of their trusted advisors, because they have them in the other aspects of their life. So I think it has to be that mindset, and then you have to back it up, right? One of the things I was thinking about, talking about in this discussion we're having is, well, what do you do? Like, how do you do that? And I think you need to become an expert, or I would advise becoming an expert. I hate to tell anybody what to do, right? But we can learn a lot, even just in MLS, right? So I have myself set up on multiple MLS searches that every day I get the market presented to me. I see what's happening in this neighborhood, what's happening in that neighborhood. I see the new listing, I see the coming soon, I see the when it went under contract, I see when it closed. And I want to know that, right? Because I need to be the market expert, so that if I run into somebody at the park and they say to me, Jeff, did you see that new listing on Calorama? I'm like, yeah, the one with the red door. They're like, yeah, that one. You have to know as much as they do, if not more. You can't be like, let me consult the MLS computer so I can tell you what you already know. Nobody hires that person, right? You got to be on top of it. So you got to, I hate to say you got to, you don't have to do anything. I prepare in advance so that I'm ready for that conversation. I have no idea when it's going to happen, but I need to know enough about my market and markets that I'm ready to carry that conversation forward when it happens. So I think that that's very important. And you can also track market trends. I don't do these big spreadsheets or anything. I think after this many years in real estate, I have a big brain that can remember a lot of houses, right? I can remember a lot of things about a lot of houses. I think that's just the muscle memory that, I've exercised over the years. So I'm pretty clear about what's going on in the various markets. So I'm ready for those conversations. And then the other things that I've done that I would suggest people do is, if you don't have a luxury clientele now, put your foot in there. What does that mean? Host open houses. I mean, what a better way to meet people you don't know that are looking to buy in certain price points and in certain neighborhoods than borrowing a listing and doing an open house. And most agents are plenty happy to have you hold an open house. Now, mind you, if it gets like super high end, they're not going to have open houses every Sunday. That's not really how a lot of those houses are sold. But, at certain price points, the agents are willing to let them be held open. So if you don't have those clients, go meet them. And arguably if you're interested in gardening or you like certain cars or you like certain charities that you benefit with your presence or your money, start there. I mean, you just get to meet more people. You can buy your way onto boards. A lot of boards have minimum contributions to join boards, but talk about shared common interest. I mean, it's like joining a country club, right? You can join a country club, you can join a board, like all these things you can do. And I realize some of that's expensive and you may not have the money for that today, but you can get there. If that's one of your goals, you can, put $1,000 from various commissions into your little savings account until you have enough to go join that board or you have enough to go join that club. I think that I think it's like common affinity. Once you're in a group, you're kind of there. You've met the criteria for membership. So like, it's almost like an open door. Like I've joined a couple clubs and kind of once you're there, these were super cheap clubs to join, mind you, like just a couple $100. But once you're there, everyone's like, you just get to know people, right? That's what it's about.
I want to pause this point because I want to make sure people heard it. Did you hear that? A lot of agents want to break into a luxury market. And what Jeff's advice is if you want to be in a luxury market, you have to go to where that client is. And whether it's joining a board, and for a lot of the nonprofits, you can donate to do it, whether it's joining a country club, you have to be there because out of sight, out of mind. And the contrary is true. Once you're in their presence, you're front of mind, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are agents that are already there, right? So you're not there, you're not there. They don't even know you.
Are your investors as active and excited in this crazy market as they were in the flat market?
I think they're more able to buy now than they were back. There's more of them, really. So people have a lot of cash that they've made the last couple of years, and they want to put it in real estate. And that's one reason why the market's been, the way it is. As you know, it's like it's not like 2008. People are buying in Vegas. They're buying all cash. They're buying 20% down. So there's a lot of appetite to buy real estate, and also a hedge against inflation. A lot of reasons why people do it. And one thing I've learned is investors change. The reason people buy changes. So I have investors who will buy and they don't care about cash flow at all. All they care about is buying an asset to leave to their kids, right? Or they want to move their money into something that's more stable. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to buy real estate. And so pure cash flow investors are not as prevalent as they were when you could get 12% return on a long-term rental, but they're still there. And so we just adjust like everything else. They want a deal. People who have money, the number one priority is, where do I put my money where I can get a return? Preferably with less risk and higher return, which is hard to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So my job is to find a way down the middle ground. Can I get you a higher return with not that much risk? And that's why we have property management, which really is very important for investors.
One of the other things I think that you're known for is participating in masterminds and having a group of peers that you connect with regularly. Talk a little bit about what your practice has been in respect to that and how that came about.
So it came about, Mike Parker, another star, he'd been in a different group. And so he had talked to me about maybe we assemble a group of people like-minded, all wanting to do more business, having similar focuses. And we just set up an event where we met in Vegas, rented a suite and locked ourselves in a room for 2 days and literally just talked through every part of our business, what was working, what wasn't working, where we had holes in our business. And what's interesting is in a group of 6 or 7 people, the problem I'm having is probably the same problem you're having, but you may be 6 months ahead of me. And so you said, this is how I solve that problem. And I'm like, wow, in a million years, I would have never thought of that. That's brilliant. And so all of a sudden, the synergy of the room just rises. And then it goes. Then the next person in the group, like you might have Rob Levy say, well, I've done that, and this is what I did in addition. And you're like, well, I didn't think of that. And then all of a sudden, it just snowballs. And so that is to keep you excited about the business. I highly recommend anyone that's watching this that they connect with 3 or 4 or 5 people that are similar, that have similar goals.
How do you find those people? So if someone is just starting out or they're starting to hit their stride and they're looking for a peer set, what advice do you have on how you identify that and put that together?
So like we just got back from Star Power in Dallas, and I saw some of that taking place in people that I didn't know, but they were on the lunch meetings, people at the table were like, I love that idea. And my daughter actually got invited into a group of people, and she's the youngest, the newest agent in the group, and she's on cloud 9, and she'll bring a different level of knowledge based on working now with me that they probably, if they've never shadowed us, would never know. So it's just so fun to watch that.
What are some examples of issues that have come up recently where either you've brought a problem to a group or someone suggested something that you didn't know you should be working on?
A lot, and so probably the greatest is when we get really, really busy, you're focusing on listing and selling real estate, and you're not looking down the road at what do I need to do to grow my business when the market changes. And so, Jerry Pincus works so well with like Google keywords, YouTube video, and he's got some amazing, in fact, he spoke at Star Power in Dallas. He was on a panel talking about that. What's brilliant is the market's going to change, and people are going to not probably have the ability to spend as much money in marketing. And he's been 2 years ahead of everybody else, building out all the neighborhoods, all the content. So when people are doing searches for his area, his stuff's showing up organically. There's people paying $10,000, $20,000 a month that aren't getting as good a placement as he is. He's not spending anything. He's just investing his time now. He's gonna win. I mean, in the end, he's gonna win. So that was the thing that I learned is I need to build more of that out so that when people are looking for Mount Vernon, Ohio real estate, Apple Valley Lake homes, my stuff rises to the top.
And how are you doing that?
We're doing it slow because right now we're working our tail off, with the real estate business, listing and selling, and I'm working with my daughter. So it's not happening as fast as I want, but it's happening. We're just a little bit each day, just a little bit, tweaking it, adding more content. I like to do it all at once, but physically with the size of my team, it's pretty tough.
Talk to me about the Henry Ford concept.
Henry Ford. December 1st, 1913, Henry Ford started the first assembly line to mass produce automobiles.
Yes.
Genius idea, okay? Prior to that time, each automobile was manufactured. In other words, everything was built specific to that car. One part wouldn't fit another part. So the starter for this car would not fit that car. It had to be made for that car.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Ford started mass producing parts and set up an assembly line so he took the time of 12 hours to build an automobile to 1 hour and 33 minutes. How much he cut the time down. But what history doesn't tell us, Amy, is what he also did is he changed the total concept of repairing cars. Think about that. Before, everything had to be hand-built. Your car broke down, you had to go out and hand-build the part. Now you can just say, well, this is my car and this is the part, there's your part.
Mm-hmm.
So the same thing is true in real estate investing. We took that same concept and said, look, we're buying all these water heaters, we're buying all this, let's buy that, and we'll buy them in large volumes. So we'll buy 20 water heaters at a time. We'll put them in our shop. We'll buy carpet, 10, 12 rolls of carpet at a time, FHA grade carpet, good quality carpet. We'll buy LVP flooring. We'll buy 5 or 6 pallets at a time. We'll buy Moen faucets, and we'll buy those in bulk. And so we get a discount. All these products we're buying at a discount. But what it's also done is it's cut down on maintenance, because instead of cheap toilets, we're buying the better toilets. So now we don't have all these maintenance problems that we did before. Before we're constantly fixing the toilets, my toilet water, my water in my toilet's running, and hey, come fix it. We found by buying a better product and having those on hand when we needed them, when the time came, we had everything available in our shop, and bang, there we went, and we don't have the maintenance problems that we used to have because of that same concept.
How did you build into that? I mean, there's storage involved in that.
We have our own shop. We like I said, we buy them in bulk. We store them in the shop, and it's proved to be a tremendous time saver and money saver too.
You've also mentioned HVAC.
Heating and cooling systems. Yes, I did. One of the problems we were having is I noticed that we were having a lot of service calls and expense on heating and air conditioning systems. And what we found is what was happening is every furnace, every heating system of properties all had different units and different furnace filters. And what was causing the problems is the filters would get dirty, stress the system, and so consequently we'd have a compressor go out or furnace go out, or et cetera. So what we did is we bit the initial investment to convert 100 plus units to a special air filter that's, instead of a 1-inch filter, it's 4 inches thick. Instead of 16 inches long, it's 20 inches long and 20 inches tall. So that gave us like 4 or 5 times the filter life as compared to the previous filter.
Interesting.
What it also did is it cut down on our repairs, but it was a huge time-saving device for us. So now we buy 100 furnace filters at a time. We go to change the furnace filters, it's always the same size. So you pull the other one out, stick the new one in, put the date on it, you're off to the next one. And it's been such a time saver, such a money saver. And as I said, time is money.
We always go through LP Mama. LP Mama, like I hear people say, oh, that doesn't work. It works. It gives you the 6 key points that you need to have a conversation.
For the people who don't know what LP Mama is.
Location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, and appointment. So you're going through those 6 key items, and you're just going through making it very conversational. When somebody's calling, hey, I'm calling about 123 Main Street. Okay, great. Well, I looked that property up. Is that an area you're looking in? So that way you're giving them what they want. Okay, it's priced at $350. Is that a price range you're looking in? So give them what they're asking for, but also ask an immediate question. Make sure you focus on tonality. Make sure you smile while you dial. Like all these little things.
How important is that? We've all heard that phrase.
Yeah, if I talk to you like this versus I talk to you like this and I'm smiling, the projection comes out so much greater.
Sure.
So, but you see some of the ones that are in there, or they're having a bad day. I'm like, pick up your head. Like, it's amazing what happens. Just smile. Put a mirror in front. Like, we bought small mirrors, so we put them at their desk. Smile while you're tiling, because it'll be so much more efficient for you. And you'll see that return on investment of doing these small things. And it's not the big thing that we're going from here to here. It's just a little bit in that compound effect. Yeah, I think
small incremental gains.
Mm-hmm. I'm a firm believer in 20 contacts a day. And I'll say what a contact is, but 20 contacts a day, 5 days a week, is 100 contacts in a week. There are 40 productive weeks in a year. December 15th, January 15th, business slows. Every market has a 4 to 6 week window where it slows down. I don't care where you're at. And you should be taking 2 to 3 weeks vacation as an agent. Doesn't mean you won't do business in those 12 weeks, but it's just not going to be your most productive time.
Yeah.
So you got 20 contacts a day, 5 days a week. It's 100 contacts times 40 weeks. It's 44,000 units or 4,000 contacts. You will close 1% of the people you talk to. I've tracked numbers since '89, and that number does not change. 20 contacts, 5 sphere of influence, 5 past clients. Well, if you're brand new to the business, you don't have 5 past clients. Where did you work before? What kind of business were you in? We give you enough leads that the other 10 contacts could be all buyers, but I want you to write 5 handwritten notes a day. That's a Bob Wolf thing.
Mm-hmm.
Learned it from Bob. And I tell people when you go to the mailbox and they pull out and they got a handwritten note, it's the first thing they're going to open. It's an easy way to keep yourself in front of people. If you're in the grocery store and you bumped into Jenny and Bob and little Sammy broke his leg and just things like that, just write a note. Put that note in your top producer. We use top producers as CRM, whatever your CRM is. Put that note there, Sammy broke leg. So next time you talk to him, you're able to say, hey, how's Sammy's leg? And he's back playing soccer again, of that nature. And then the other ones can be a couple other things there, but it's 2 to 2.5 hours of work a day.
If you focus in.
If you focus in on it. Real estate agents have a hard time focusing. Yeah, it's what's there, but it's just if you tag into that And that sphere of influence, it's one of the reasons I do so many client events, because the agents will call the clients real quick about a client event.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an easy, whether it's St. Patrick's Day, it's Shred Day. Shred Day is coming up it's always the Saturday before Mother's Day. And that's a big event there. Santa Claus is our 34th year this year.
Wow.
Pie Day, we've done Pie Day. We're up over 300 pies. When we first started pies, I was like, it's up over 300 pies. And
So you're doing pies at Thanksgiving?
yes, Tuesday
and
before.
Santa?
Yeah, Santa is a Saturday before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
That way they can get the picture, and a lot of people use that for a postcard. And we're between, it depends on the year, but anywhere from 300 to 400 children a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the 34th. And we've had one couple, 21 years, bringing kids, and the kids are 18, 19, 20.
Uh-huh.
And
No, one is a police officer and his dad is an agent for us
yeah,
now.
yeah.
I love
right.
it.
That is right. Yeah, and it's I remember we were this is about 4 years ago. A little girl walked in by herself, and she was probably 18, 19. And she goes, "I got my girlfriends out in the car. Can we bring our babies in?" I said, "Absolutely. Come on, get in there." And she had came through at some point in time earlier in life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
Yeah, and you'll get people started there, and we did Easter egg hunt.
This is our 6th year for that.
The 0 to 3 are amazing.
It is amazing. And we actually have the Easter Bunny.
Oh yeah.
And it is crazy.
Kids run up to it, give it a hug, and
the turnout that we get.
They don't cry like they do at Santa.
No.
They'll hug an animal before they'll hug a strange old man all day long.
But the 0 to 3 is like, they got a 6-month-old in their hand, and the parents are picking it.
Yeah.
So what do you notice happens with your business as a result of these client events?
65% of our business is sphere of influence past clients. It's heavy. It's heavy on that. We have cut back on the.
So tell us about the Well series itself. Is there any in person? Are they meeting on Zoom?
How it's designed is it's all podcasts. So it's an 8-week program. There's 2 podcasts a week. There's a workbook, and most people are self-guided, follow at your own pace.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the 8 weeks, there'll be like a live webinar or live Zoom. And then from filling out the workbooks, there's a test at the end of the series. Well, if you've completed your homework, you can ace that test, and then you'll be entered to win $10,000 as the grand prize. Plus they're giving away other prizes. But the beauty of it is, it's like most people haven't figured out their net worth. A lot of people don't think they can build wealth because they think they don't have enough money to build wealth. And this, man, it's a huge eye-opener for people to get out of debt, how to reduce taxes, and how to actually build wealth.
Now, is there a cost for them to register, or you're gifting it to them?
It's absolutely free. So in the past, they have cost like $599 for it. And so people would do the podcast, do the homework, do the final test. Our team, a lot of teams that are partnered with Place, and I think some probably out, you can, what we're doing is Zooms every Saturday morning that we're going to Facebook stream on Facebook Live.
Mm-hmm.
And just Q&A, what did you guys think? How was it? Just for us to all get together, whether they do it or not. I mean, it's up to them, but the content will be on Facebook. And so it's a private Facebook group for our guests that signed up.
So the Facebook group itself is private.
Right.
But the invitations continue to go out. I know I got the text.
Yes.
So anybody who's...
And there's a Win, Make, Give official Facebook group. That's national. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So you also mentioned that you're doing other client appreciation things. So what are you doing?
Yeah, so Pi Day is one of our favorites. With COVID started, we did a drive-through Pi Day event, and it's actually turned out, we're going to keep it that way because it's really fun. We still have some people park and get out, but we have our pop-up tents up, and, in Oregon at 5 p.m. it's dark, so we have the lights out and all that kind of stuff, and music, and we have a fire pit that's burning firewood and hors d'oeuvres, and people can come out, and we pick up a ton of referrals So the thing that we piggyback that with is when they, there's a series of notifications, emails, texts, we call, postcards that go out, and it's like, okay, whip us up a referral and you get a free can of whipped cream. And so
you wouldn't think that would be a motivator, but
no,
it is.
But so we had a ton of referrals. The one that was most memorable this year was this investor. He's like 90 years old and he does private money for everyone. He likes to go help people find properties and he'll loan them the money on it. And so he comes through in his car and I'm looking in his, have his pie and I'm like, there's another pumpkin pie in here from another pie day. But he was like, Mary, I have a referral for you. I need a can of whipped cream. And I'm like, great, who's your referral? And it was awesome. Ranch, I've loaned this gal money several times. She was looking for a bigger ranch. And so now she's looking up to 1.5 million.
Yeah. For a can of
But
whipped cream.
I got the referral. Yeah. So I thought it was cool. Yeah.
That is one expensive can of whipped cream.
Yeah. And then Pumpkin Patch Day is fun. So we have people come, they get a free pumpkin. We do photo booth. We set up the hay bales and the corn stalks. And sometimes our team is in costume, sometimes not. But we do little family pics with everyone. And then they come in, we have the photo printers there at printing. They go off on the little hay ride to go get their pumpkin, come back and get their pictures.
Oh, that's great. What a great spin on that. And
next year
you'll give us digital photos of these things, so we'll post them. You'll be able to click through the newsletter and get to them.
And next year, because we want to tie in community events with that, and we invite all our affiliates to those. So several of them are like, oh, we should make this into like a community thing. So like some of the car dealerships will sponsor and the banks will sponsor. So I don't know, we're going to plan it into something even bigger, but it's a lot of fun.
Very cool.
So, Stephen Covey says that you be efficient with things and effective with people. So, you just electronic messaging by itself is not always effective. Some people need to be touched.
Yes.
Some don't want to be touched. So we can try and put everything out in ways that they can get what they want. Howard taught us the platinum rule. And,
treat others as they want to be treated.
Right. Treat others the way they'd like to be treated.
Sequence of events, because you've got a couple of more I want to make sure that you share.
So the sequence is in February, we do the bowling tournament.
Okay.
And it's actually, I don't even want to call it tournament, call it bowling event, because it's just a family fun night. And we have a silent auction that goes with it. So we go and get donations from, various stores and vendors and artists and whoever, and set out a nice silent auction. And then everybody signs up for bowling.
And who's the beneficiary?
It varies. The predominant ones that we do are Make-A-Wish and Children's Miracle Network. I have a private group of just guys that plays poker, and so all our buy-in when we're done, the whole thing goes off to Wounded Warriors Project. Yeah.
Neat.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we've got
bowling with the silent auction and the little kiddie rails and stuff. And the fun thing is I give everybody too these special cards that are for split pickup. And so I tell them, I will bowl your split for you. I can't promise I'm going to get it. I will bowl your split for you, but it's an extra $5 to the charity.
Oh, fun.
And people just love doing that. And I hardly ever pick up the split. But it's fun, and it's kind of a little celebrity thing going on with it. So it's fun. So after that then is so that's February, March, April, we do a Community Earth Day thing where we just pick up trash. And we try and get, the neighbors to all, and, a few will come out and we'll knock out this neighborhood. And then, so that's April. May is the balloon. Sometimes end of June, sometimes middle of July, the poker tournament, which I might want to move. We've been talking about it for a few years because in the summer it can be hot. And the barn, we have an event barn that we do it in. It's not air conditioned, but usually there's a good breeze. So I don't know. We're thinking about maybe moving it to winter. But then in September is the end of Summerfest. And then in October, and for years, we've seen and heard people talk about doing something around dogs. So, Howard's 3 T's now, we're going to put the terriers on steroids here. And because there's so much love of dogs in Colorado, especially, well, probably everywhere. And so it was like, man, we want to do this event. And, we want to do it this fall. And it was already September. And so we just, banged our heads together and came out with Peeps and Pups. And so we arranged it at the big dog park down at Chatfield Reservoir. And so people would come with their dogs, and we will have a catered barbecue set up under a tent, so sandwiches and stuff. And we would have special kind of gourmet dog treats that my partner, Holly, it was her recipe. But so we make all these, and they go in a little gift bag, these gourmet dog treats, and the dog toy, and a couple other things in a little gift bag that everybody takes home. And then we set up an agility course.
Oh, fun!
And there's a contest for that. Whichever dog does it, first, second, third place. And it's so funny because the first time we did it, the oldest dog at the event won the agility of it. It's not timed, so it wasn't a speed thing. But none of the other dogs could focus to do this thing, and they're off here, and not going to go through that little tunnel. And so that's a lot of fun. And then the best part is that we set up a photo booth on site. Bale of hay, it's in the fall, corn stalk, whatever, and it's for them to sit with their dogs and have a professional portrait made.
Neat.
So after the event, that gets mailed to them. In a little frame, and it's a forever memory of that. So love that event. It's one of my favorites. So that's in October. In November, we'll do the movie premiere, and the Alamo movie house here is one where you sit down and you have little tables, almost like in an airline table kind of thing, and they will serve you in the theater. So I pay everybody with their free entry gets a free popcorn and a bottomless soda. And then there's all kinds of other stuff they can buy off the menu.
Sure.
To eat. And what blew my mind the first time I did this, because I'd heard of others doing the movie premiere, but when we rented this, they said, so during the time before the movie, you can put some slides of your own up there. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I created this little slideshow, and I walk in there and I'm like, wow, my ad taking up the entirety of a movie screen. And so I have the guests arrive 30 minutes before the showing. So they're sitting there and I'm going around, gives me an opportunity to circulate and chat with folks and them with each other and whatever, and get their popcorn and stuff, and all the time they're watching my ads just go, sold house, sold, event, this, logo.
So each one of these events is being preceded by email invitation, by phone calls, by text.
Yep.
You're getting multiple touches every time you do an event.
Oh my gosh, so many. Yes, and so that meets my goal of touching my past client base. And again, it can be as little as that I got a text and sorry, we're going to be out of town. Touch, bang. That's a that's a win.
5 touches per event. You're getting 32 to 40 touches just from your events, not including your e-newsletter, not including.
How did you build consensus on those being the right metrics to be tracking?
I let the team build it. It used to be that I would create everything and I'd roll it out and try to get them to accept it, and then I'd get mad at them when they didn't. When I was really a bad leader, today I think I'm a really good leader, But when I was a really bad leader and they didn't do what I thought they should do, I would even send out an email to all of them like that was going to help. It's terrible, terrible. Anyway, I let them build it. You know, get together, let's collaborate. What is it going to take to be successful? And at the end of an event, for example, we always talk about what worked, what didn't, and what we want to change up differently, how we could have made it better. And I'm just writing notes and I put it in the marketing book. So next year when we get to that event, oh, that's what we said we were going to do. Let's implement that. I mentioned Pi Day to you because I know, I mean, this, without a doubt, Star Power birthed Pi Day. But this year we did something different and we started a podcast this year. So we did a live stream during Pi Day. And my husband does the podcast because, you know, that's his thing. And we had multiple cameras set up so we could see people coming through the door. There's a little over 700 people that came through to get their pies. And then we would interview them. So they would talk about Thanksgiving and what they're grateful for, and of course about our team. And Jay would ask, like, you know, how many Pi Days have you attended? Oh, this is my 9th. I come every year. I just love it. You know, whatever. It was just amazing. And so we will definitely do that every year. Just trying to think, how can we make this wonderful thing that has worked so long, so well, even better? Let's one up it. What can we do? Plus one.
I want to emphasize that right now because for many of you watching, you think about how can I record testimonials? When do I have opportunities to speak with my clients, get them on recording, talking about how great our team is and what we can do to serve? Well, if you're already having them come for a Pi Day, combine it with an opportunity for them to tell their story and capture it right there. I think that is such a terrific idea.
It added so much to the day. I mean, it's always a great day anyway, but it was even having the team talk about what they're grateful for, and of course a lot of it was the team and the relationships, and it was just super cool. We're definitely going to do that.
What are some of the new events that you've tried out or are experimenting with?
Yeah, so the other thing that we do with just piggybacking again on Pi Day, and then I'll answer your question, I promise. We also have a little flyer that we give them that we tell them to take a picture with their family and their Thanksgiving dinner with our pie, post it on social media with this hashtag, and then we drew and gave away a 5-day cruise to the winner. So we had all kinds of social media. I mean, if you search the hashtag, you'll see all these great pictures. So just some of the events, I actually have a calendar of events that I think they're going to put in a newsletter. We do a shredding event every year that we open up to the entire community. We have the big truck come out, we have a DJ, and we're fresh months, and literally the cars drive around our building and we unload everything and shred it. We have big flags that go out and we invite the community to that particular event. Event that we did last year for the very first time was we rented a baseball, not the whole stadium, but a section in the stadium for about 300 seats, and had hamburgers and hot dogs and invited our clients. And I have one client that bought a home from me in 1986. She is in her 90s. She came for Pi Day, and she came to the ball game. And I'm just like, oh, this is so wonderful. But it was a great event. It gave us a good quality time to get around and talk to everybody and see everyone. Lots of pictures, of course, on social. And then my team, they are always saying, what can we do to get them back to the office more? We want to bring them to the office. So they came up with the idea of doing a knife sharpening event at our office.
A knife sharpening event.
Knife sharpening. And I didn't know if it was going to work or not. And of course, I wouldn't drive 45 minutes for a pie, and 700 people did, right? But anyway, so we, our closing gift.
Wait, did you hear that? 700 people showed up for Pi Day. I think that's
crazy. It's crazy how far they drive to get a pie.
Great to celebrate.
I'm like, there's no way. Anyway, but we just love on them, and it's a fun time, and we decorate our office. It's over the top with decorations. So this knife sharpening event, I will change some things next year. But, I just sent out an email to first our raving fans and then our fans, and I just started to see how our responses were, and then all of our close clients. And they could bring in as many knives as they wanted from 9 o'clock until 6 o'clock to be sharpened in our office. I could not believe how many people were just showing up, had boxes full, all these knives. And so they would sit around, had some refreshments, of course, and they'd sit around and we'd get to talk with them while they were waiting for their turn for the knife sharpening. Several people left them and then picked them up on Pi Day because we did it like a week before Pi Day. But that was a great event. And I had folks say that they hadn't had their knives sharpened in 20 years, so they were so grateful. So we'll do that. And it didn't cost anything because Cutco, who we buy our closing gifts from, came out to do the knife sharpening. It was really cool.
I think that's great. And you got your vendor to pay for it for you. That's even better.
Yeah.
What do you do differently or better to take those people through the transaction process and then love on them after?
Mm-hmm. We do a few things. One, I now own a separate business that is a staging business. Before it was just part of the Ribble Group, and when we merged, I kind of brought that out, but it only works for our team. You know, we're not staging for other people. So we do professionally stage every one of our listings. And always have for 20 years, you know, for a long time. And so that is something that not everybody does. And we don't charge for it, you know, to do that. We don't charge extra for that. So that was always kind of a value proposition that I brought.
Yeah, ahead of the curve on that as well.
Yeah. And so we do that. Now we also do whole renovations and remodels and, you know, the whole concierge service that comes through that company, which is called Staging Plus. So that's one of the things that, you know, I do attribute it to. But the other is truly the relationship with our client. Real estate is not about houses, it's about people. And I really believe that. And I find people who also really believe that. And it is really, again, you know, that servant leadership of always, you're gonna lead by helping others to get what they want. If you can be instrumental in them getting what they want, and so that for our clients is part of it, but it is also really that whole family thing. We had just this week a client pass away with a mother of a 18-month-old or a 13-month-old. She's 6 years old. That's not the first time that's happened. We had that before and helped the widower and helped him through the whole thing. When he got remarried, he had my husband be the one to marry him.
Wow.
And that was off of a sign call. Like, how do you go from a sign call to, you know, like sitting on the second row at the funeral and then, you know, being there performing the wedding because you care and because you bring them into not just your business or your life, but your heart. And that is something that I've always done. And that is something that I really, really, really work with our agents and, you know, make sure that they have that heart to do that.
So when I transact with Gay, what can I expect is going to be the communication beyond that? How often am I hearing from you and in what way?
Well, I typically, if I'm the listing agent, I am still your primary contact. So I really help them through everything. Now, I'm not calling them to set up the photos or to, you know, schedule the stagers and things like that. But I am the one that is very involved in helping them to determine timing and strategy and, you know, the whole thing. I'm going to be the one talking with them about feedback. I'm going to be talking with them consistently about the market. I talk with them at least once a week, but it ends up being a lot more than that. I am going to be the one to negotiate everything on their behalf. And unless I'm out of town, I'll be at closing with them too. So really, it is that solo agent. It's what a lot of solo agents do. It's just all the things that don't have to have personal contact with them that I'm not doing. Right? I'm not entering it into the MLS. I'm not doing the paperwork. You know, every member of my team is licensed. All of my support staff is licensed so that they can do that. So they're sending contracts out and they're under my name. You know, and my transaction manager, she will call. They will hear from her a little bit, but a lot of the emails and things, you know, is with me. If I have another agent on it, like if with buyers, we do a 3 or 4 way text. And so, you know, they're texting and whichever one of us is most available to answer it, we do. So I'm always a little bit involved with it if it's my clients. If they're not my clients, if they're people that came from Empower Home and they just hear Empower Home and they don't care anything about who I am, then those agents, you know, fully do it 100% on their own with me just backing them and helping them. But on my clients, I always have a little bit, even when I, you know, hand them over to someone else, I'm still involved. I still know what's going on. If they want me to go look at the house that they pick and they want my opinion, I'll go do that. So I still do a pretty high touch, even though it's not a full touch.
Sure. Now we make it to the closing table.
I mean, you know, when you're building a team, it is all about relationships. So you build relationships with the clients. As a team leader, you build relationships with your agents and the people on your team. And you do that. You know, we actually have a billboard too, electronic billboard, front and back on our interstate. What we started doing with our billboard is we started putting our team members up there as agent of the week. And it
No one else was doing that.
it doesn't say call Terry Lynn McNaughton or call Don McNaughton. We started saying this is Marla, she's agent of the week. This is Mandy, she's agent of the week. And that started getting some attention, and it got attention for my agents. They're like, hey, my sphere
Everybody.
saw the billboard up there. So one of the largest companies in our area, our town, I'm good friends with, I call her my sister, with their managing broker. But she called me and she's like, hey, I'm sorry, but we're going to take your idea. And I said, what idea is that? And she said, well, all our agents are saying, how come McNaughton has their agent of the week up on the board and we have billboards all over town. They're much bigger than we are. They have billboards everywhere. And they're like, how come we're not on them? And so instantly the shift. And so we literally changed that. Now agents are all putting on billboards saying agent of the week and stuff for people. So that's cool.
Then you
That's
know you're
cool.
doing
I was
something
like, I
right
did
when
something
people
right.
start using
The biggest
your
company
ideas.
in town.
Highest form of compliment, right? Okay, how about that solo agent?
It's the same thing. Pick
It's
up the phone,
relationships.
take them to coffee, take them to lunch. I'm not a coffee drinker. Crystal covers the coffee part for our family. But take them to coffee, take them, to lunch, sit down and, take them on a walk, whatever. But it's all about, one-on-one, and that's free. That's the free part. And, we have had to start our business with it, being free because we had no money. With this didn't exist.
Yes.
We couldn't plant 15,000 tulips. We didn't.
Nope.
We couldn't.
You can plant 5.
We couldn't
That's
plant
right.
5.
We couldn't.
Yeah, it was very basic. I mean,
And our Breakfast with Santa started, I'll just brief on that. That event started with, it was a challenging time in our lives at that time, and just maybe the economy. I don't really remember. Amber actually came up with the idea. She had some little kids at the time. She said, maybe we could do a Santa where she didn't want to go to the mall to get the picture taken. She's like, maybe we could have a Santa here and we could invite our clients that have kids to come and get their picture with Santa. I was like, we could. And, well, who could be Santa? And so we asked a client, would you be Santa? And he's like, I could. And I'm like, okay. And then we went to Walmart and bought a Santa suit. And, we
25 people came.
Yeah, 25 people came. It doesn't have to be huge.
Right.
And now that level is, we have the fanciest Santa suit. We have 400 people show up. And we've had live reindeer many times, and the polar bear mascot. And we have crafts for the kids. We actually make a little lunchbox.
We didn't bring that.
It's outside. But we have crafts for the kids in a little lunchbox, and they get to take those home. But just love on people, and you can start small. We didn't have any of this. I assure you, we had nothing. We had nothing, and we dug it out, and it's just loving on people, and that could be as easily as running an errand for them. I mean, we have clients that say, "Hey, could you, they're kind of sick, and could you pick up something for me, or move a treadmill?" I tell that when, when we hire a runner to help us run errands, I was like, "There's no telling what Terry's going to ask you to do." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, you're going to go to banks and title companies, you're going to run errands and put up signs or whatever." But I said, she's going to say, "Hey, I got this lady that needs a treadmill moved from her garage to her truck." I was like, "Because that's just who we are." And I was like, "And we got to go do that." Now, we had some clients that every time they're older and every time they would leave town, they said, "Would you go in, check our mail while we're gone, and then put it on our table inside our house?" Which, different age groups, different things. People are like, "Are you crazy? People even still do that?" We did. But I can tell you this, whenever they decided to sell
There was no question.
their $1 million home, they just came over, they walked over and they said, "We're moving, list it.
We
We're
picked
going
up groceries for elderly sick whenever they couldn't get out. So
you just do what you have, just love on
get
people."
up every morning and ask, "Who can I help?"
Who
God
can I
will put
help with the
somebody in
labor
front
of
of
love?
With the
That
labor
is
of
the
love.
signature of
So when I look at sales and closed transactions, referral actually is our top. you'd think, normally a sphere of influence. Now we're in a secondary market, so it's a little bit different. I can't talk to somebody and they can get right into the office. They might be in another state. So referral is highest. Google was second for closing. And how much does that cost? Low cost, no cost. YouTube, if you look at all the volume, now we did 265 transactions last year, and most of that volume, again, was low cost, no cost.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I like low cost, no cost.
Yeah.
I think most people would like to spend very little money and have a significant return. We were talking about the number of subscribers you have on YouTube, and I know that's not the only platform you're using. Which other platforms are you active on? Facebook?
Yes, on Facebook.
And how many followers does your business page have on Facebook?
Okay, so again, I'm either between, I can't remember, it's either 127 or 137. Thousand, yes.
So you have nearly 130,000 followers on Facebook. Are you using the same content on Facebook that you're using on YouTube, or what are you doing differently that grows your followership there?
Now, it's a different strategy. A lot of things that I'm doing on Facebook, I'm not doing on, I do post videos occasionally, but it's not generally what I'm posting. I'm posting memes, and if you don't know what a meme is a picture and it has some verbiage on it, and it's something that you can relate to or you can agree with. So if you think about what you can agree with, if it's winter and it's cold everywhere else in the United States, and I'm taking a picture on the beach, and I say, currently pretending I'm here, that gets shared. So what ends up happening is a lot of people want to be at the beach, right? So it gets shared. And then you're gathering these like-minded people that are coming back to your channel, to your platform, and to your website. And it's driving traffic, and of course that traffic is free.
Now, are Instagram and TikTok the same, or do you have different strategies for those types of platforms as well?
Yep, I'm on Instagram and I am on TikTok. I'm not consistent with TikTok. I just started with that. I've got a couple, I want to say I have like 5,000 views, or yeah, it's about that, something like that. So it's not a lot. I think it's a platform that's going to be growing. I think it's a different dynamic, a different customer. I think a lot of people are going off of Facebook, but if we follow where it's trending, obviously, it's evolving. Everything always changes. It's consistency that wins the race, though. The consistency of the YouTube videos, the consistency of the posting on Facebook. Instagram, I'm not as consistent on there. For me in my market, doesn't seem, now again, I'm a lot of retirees, investors, second home. So it's not necessarily that I've found that my customer base is on Instagram, so I'm not using it as much.
I think what you are doing is you're finding the areas where you do have a dominant market presence, and you're leaning into them and you're doubling down. You're continuing to feed them. You're continuing to learn. And I think that's having a dramatic impact.
We get a fair amount through referrals. We do get direct leads off of our listings, whether it's the signage, whether it's, off of, Realtor.com or Zeller or whatever it might be. We do actually get I'd say, surprisingly a good amount of buyers off of our network. So we have about 10,000 people in our database. Obviously, they're getting the newsletter with the new listing or some announcement.
How did you get to 10,000?
It's just, some of them, there's a couple of thousand leads in there that haven't transacted with us yet, but we're still engaging with them.
Okay.
And just past clients and sphere of influence from everybody on the team, and it's just kind of built from there.
Your Realtor network nationwide?
Realtor network nationwide, right? Where we're putting all those in as well. So we do, but we recently had a horse farm that we had listed for a little over $2 million, and the person that ended up buying it got the announcement from a friend of theirs who was a client of ours.
Wow!
So it triggered her to get on that, and they bought it. So so we do have situations where that works out as well, which is great. And then I belong to some different networking organizations. I belong to BNI. I've been with BNI for 16 years or something like that. So we get about I get about 6 to 8 million in referrals from that a year. Belong to the Lions Club. And I'm also on the board of managers for MLS. So there's some networking that goes on with that as well.
So there's joining, and then there's actually being involved.
Right.
Where do you fall on the spectrum?
So, no, I'm pretty involved with all of them. I try not to, get in be the president because that's like a full-time job, you know, with some of these. But I do support. I go to the meetings. If there's a committee to do something like for an event or something, I'm involved in that. You know, you have to balance like how much time you can, you know, effectively give to these organizations as well.
So what advice would you give to our viewers in terms of their involvement with those organizations?
You know, I think it's different for everybody. It depends on how much time you have. If you're just starting out, right? I mean, you've got, you know, certainly more capacity and bandwidth. You know, a friend of mine, Ron Howard, who's out of the Baltimore area, I mean, he built a whole business around just being part of organizations, being on the boards of things and networking and all that stuff, and built a very successful business. You know, even wrote a book on it. I think it was called Create Demand. You know, and he talks about how he did that. And you know, I could see how that would work out beautifully, you know, if you're that type of person. Maybe you're not, right? So as a high SC, you know, maybe we're not the most social people, right? So maybe that might not work for you. You're going to have to find something else. But if you do have a social side to you, you know, being as part of organizations is great.
But I'm hearing be involved.
Be involved.
Don't just pay your dues. Show up.
No. And all these organizations, it's amazing. You know, they'll have X amount of members, and you know, maybe 5 to 10% are really actively engaged. So if you go in and you're actively engaged, you are standing out. They love you. They're going to do anything to keep you because that's less work that they need to do.
Absolutely. Okay.
Our senior side is Empowered Senior. The TV show is Empowering Seniors. And it's more of a community outreach because we're not talking about real estate often, although real estate and downsizing gets woven into everything because it really needs to be, because when you are aging and you know, probably anticipating late life transitions, it has to be woven into every other topic that we do. It's just natural. And over time, people realize some of the things that they need to do in their own life to prepare for successful aging. And one of the things is downsizing. And so we'll have people that have been coming to the seminars consistently for 4 years, and they'll call and say, I know we need to do this. And so it's really cool because it's really about people making their own decisions. And we encourage them to get home equity checkups where we come out and visit with them about the home, about their personal property.
I love that phrase, home equity checkups.
And when you're dealing with the more mature market, let's say 75 years of age, give or take, that we're also talking about the personal property and about all their concerns about whether the property is dated, whether there's deferred maintenance, maybe they feel like they can't keep the home up the way they always have in the past. And so we tell people, if you have us out to talk about these things, we guarantee you're going to feel a lot better. And we give them aging in place tips or really instructions. And we talk about, is this the best place to age in place? Because almost everyone wants to age in their own home. And so, you know, it could be 80, 90% of the people really want to age in their own home. But the reality is that at the end of life, usually only about 20% are still homeowners. So there's a lot of wake-up calls for people to have if they are learning-based and they're willing to come participate in education so they can plan in advance.
So what are some of the other topics that you cover? So for someone who's trying to get their brain wrapped around, what would they be
Legal, wills, trust, functional fitness, understanding in-home care, home health, all the different medical options. I mean, there's not a topic that we don't cover, and we will never run out of topics. I'm so passionate about this. I see myself now as, of course, we're a real estate family, but I see myself as being embedded and belonging to the aging services field or the senior industry. So I network with people in the senior industry that are working in hospitals, senior living, and all these different things. That's my peer group. We do. I stay really busy with the TV show, so I think about all the things that we could be doing, and they're all great ideas. But we do stay busy doing what we're doing. That would be good if I was making additional videos.
I'm only asking about the YouTube channel because I'm wondering, how does somebody access the TV show?
Well, they can go to pbs.org and they can type in empowering seniors, and they can see all the shows that I've done.
Beautiful.
And the second show is called Ageless Enthusiasm, which is designed for boomers and Gen X. And yeah, so they're all out
Right
there.
on.
Mm-hmm. So
Just check it out. Okay, so I want to.
So when in my listing presentation, I have what the MLS of the average of the sale to list prices, and then I have mine. Mine usually is about 2.5% to 3% higher than the average agent in the MLS. So that's one of the things that I will bring out and say, well, although I can appreciate that, and quite frankly, some agents should charge that. The reason why I'm sitting in front of you today is for my expertise and how I am able to get my sellers more money. And I have it right here in writing for you, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, that my sales to list price is about 3% higher than the average realtor in the MLS.
You know what I saw when you gave me that answer too? Like there's that confidence, right? Because you know your numbers and you've put it out in ways that you can really defend. And so that's really a pearl for anyone listening. Know what your number is, know what makes you different, know what makes you more valuable, and having the confidence and the conviction to say, I'm worth it.
Yes, absolutely. And I am worth it, because I will tell you, when you reduce your commission, that's going to pretty much, I guarantee, going to be your hardest sale, because they're going to beat you up on everything else.
Absolutely. What are some of the things that are changing about the listing appointment or the decision process, or that you're finding is different now, whether it's post-pandemic or just with the adoption of more remote interactions? What are you seeing that's going different in your business?
So I think we're back to kind of a mentality where sellers really think that all they have to do is put their house, on a for sale by owner site, and it will just sell. And maybe it would, but because they're not opening up to the masses of eyes out there who are right now looking for houses in my market, they're probably leaving money on the table. So we're kind of back to that. I mean, I've been selling real estate for a long time, so I've seen the ups and downs in the market. Never quite like this before. I've never been, obviously, through a COVID market. And we are back to where we were last year in reference to multiple offers, open house lines down the street. So I think that, I think mostly I'm seeing the differences is that sellers just kind of think that they can just put their house on the market and it will sell. And I just think that, and I feel bad for them, because I do think that they're leaving money on the table.
So how is that informing what you're doing?
Say?
How does that inform what you're doing in your business?
How does it inform?
What are you doing to respond to that?
Showing them the numbers. So if I have an opportunity to sit in front of a for sale by owner, say, and I will say to them, listen, although I can appreciate why you think you might be saving, X amount of dollars in commission, let me show you why that actually can cost you more. And then again, it's all about knowing your numbers. So right now, I mean, recently, and it was actually somebody I knew. It wasn't a friend of mine, but it was an acquaintance from years ago. And he was so happy because he called me and he said, I sold my house for sale by owner. And I was like, oh, what did you sell it for? And I was like, oh my God. He literally left about $200,000 on the table. And so, but you don't know what you don't know, right? So they're just hearing that, maybe a friend told them to do it, or they heard an advertisement or something like that. And they just, sometimes people think that real estate agents just are in it for the greed of the money. It's not why I'm in it. So I'm in it because I do want to be an educator. Maybe I'm a frustrated teacher. I don't know, right? But it just perplexed me, and just to think like, wow, and he's a businessman. He's a business owner. And yet he thinks he did great. But I know his house, I know where it was located, and I know he could have gotten $200,000 more for that house. So
I want to
a for sale by owner, I have learned through the years, more often than not, is not really interested in the money. They have tried working with a real estate professional and been badly disappointed, to put it politely, and are very angry. And I find that if I will ask the right questions and then let them do what I call dumping their bucket, they got to get all that anger and disappointment. They're embarrassed. They put the most important thing that they own in terms of value out there, and nobody wanted it. They're humiliated, they're angry, they're disappointed. All that has to kind of be dumped out. And then once that's happened, if I can give them reasons to trust us with that important asset and their goal of an important change in their life, there's nothing to getting them to sign a contract.
Okay, so what do you say to me?
Amy, I see you have a sign out front that says you're interested in your home.
I do.
Interested in selling your home. And I did a little research, and I saw that at some point in the fairly recent past, you had it on the market. And now you're selling it yourself. Tell me why you've decided to go that route.
Oh, well, it was a nightmare. I don't know if all you realtors are alike, but you know, we never heard from the realtor after they listed it. We didn't get feedback on what was happening. And, you know, frankly, I'm not going to pay for somebody to not work for me.
Yeah, to just take up space.
So I figured, watching what they're doing, I might as well just do it myself.
Yeah. Wow. Boy, I can only imagine how frustrated and angry you must be feeling right now. And the sad fact of the matter, Amy, is that the real estate industry is probably like every other major industry. We have a relative few people at the top of the industry who really do an outstanding job. They always return phone calls. They always communicate with their sellers about what buyers are saying, even if it's not the most pleasant thing in the world, I have to repeat. And so on and so forth. And then there are some at the bottom who don't do anything except take up space. And then there are a lot of them in the middle. And your agent probably was drifting there in the middle somewhere. We are proud to count ourselves in the top group. And I don't want you to take my word for that. You just tell me how many names of people you need to talk with about how we do business, and I will provide those to you.
You would do that?
Of course. If I were you, I would certainly be checking somebody's pedigree at this point. Let me ask you this. If I give you those references, and I'll give you enough that you can pick and choose, and you do get a good report on me, are you ready to do business with us?
I might be. I'm a little concerned about, you know, what's going to be the cost involved of doing that. You know, we've lost valuable time and had some extra months of mortgage payments at this point.
Yeah, your carrying costs.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you that you probably will be surprised at the rapidity if we work together as a team and do the things that it takes to get a home sold, with the rapidity with which you will have a sold sign in your yard and a check in your hand.
That would make a huge difference. Yeah. I'm going to hit the pause button, you guys, because you dropped so many pearls just in that little exchange. You're diffusing.
With the changing market and the changes that we're seeing, obviously in a military market, you're still going to see some constant because you have that consistent population and that turnover. What are some things that you're preparing for or doing differently to embrace kind of the changing market?
I think it's going to be it's going to be really, really just like other stars and we talked about earlier. There's some of the new agents, they've been in the business less than 10 years and for 4, 5, 6 years, and it's been such a great, awesome interest rate and market has been so good, so they're going to be wide awakening. And when we used to do that, long time ago, now it's going to, a lot of them is, the assumptions and all that. So, we are trying to educate our people, even mortgage companies, they don't even know how to do the assumption.
Right.
We've done some of them. So we are, and then, when we go listing appointments, we just, everybody knows just a sign here and you had enough equity and we can sell the house and you're going to get some money. But then now is that we have to kind of approach a different way of it. Instead of just, and then buyers don't want to, buy the house because the rate is almost double. They couldn't qualify. So try to get the money from different source to pay the equity and then, assume the loan. So I think that's going to be a huge deal. And yeah.
So Pam, I think assumptions are a great example. And so let's say you have a buyer right now who is saying, my payment has doubled. It's too expensive for me to get a mortgage right now. What do you say to that buyer?
I say that, I understand, everybody, think that rate is so high and almost unachievable. But, there's a way to buy it. I know some of the people, new people, they don't know how to do this, but you could still have a good rate that it's been so good for so many years, and there's a way to assume the mortgage, but then they say, oh, I don't have money set around to do that, but do you have any money in the somewhere that you have investment or something that you could take out, like 30, 40,000, whatever is to assume the loan. I think you need to see that, how much that is investment is giving you, the return on the money, versus you could assume, take out that investment, cash out, and then buy the pay down the equity to assume the loan. That's how much is it going to be saving, and it's cut down your mortgage, 30-year mortgage from the new loan to they already been there for 10 years, so you already been, paid down 10 years of length of the mortgage. So you think about it, how great is that time to do that. So there's a way to do that, and we could help you do that.
Well, and it's a great differentiator in a market where some newer agents just haven't had experience because they haven't had to do it.
No, I just had a seller, he's only owned the house 9 months, but 9 months ago he got a 3% interest rate. And so when we sat down, he's getting transferred. So now he has options. So he can rent it. He doesn't have enough equity to sell it probably without coming out of pocket, which is still an option. But he can also sell it on an assumption. And that 3% interest rate is very marketable. And especially now that we're at 6 to 7, and you explain that to a seller, and now their eyes light up, and they're like, they're not facing doomsday, and the more options you can give people, the more you become the hero.
So lots of self-realization, lots of self-actualization. You model this for the people around you, your 8 kids, the agents in your office, everyone you interact with. How do you help them on their own path of self-discovery? What have you put in place to encourage people to do the personal work?
I do ask a lot of questions.
Okay.
I used to tell people a lot of things, and I still do, and I have to catch myself and say, Daryl, that's not for you. Not for you to decide. Wherever they are in their life journey, give them space. You've not walked in their shoes, but you say, just asking that question of, like, what's driving you to do that? Tell me more about how you feel about it. People, I don't think we explore enough about why we do something, because we're just going through motions. Mm-hmm. And we do that because we were born in a certain household, we had a certain job, we had expectations kind of thrust upon us. We mature a little bit, we keep doing the same things that we were always doing. We never really stop and say, why am I doing this? Remember did I get this from Star Power, the turkey story of the daughter puts the turkey in the oven, but she slices the top off, takes the top, puts it on the side.
Yeah.
And then, then they're having a big meeting. Well, why do we do that? And then they ask mom, and then it's the daughter, mom, grandma, then great-grandma, and great-grandma says, well, my oven was never big enough to fit that whole turkey in there. And they just had always done that for all that time. So we live life that way, and we can look at every little aspect of life to say, why do I do this? And what value does that bring to me?
That's a pretty profound set of questioning. So your agents, you're encouraging them to do that level of self-exploration?
I think of it in terms of the Socrates or Socratic method. And sometimes I seem like a jerk when I do it, and I apologize to them ahead of time, but it's like, why would you do that? And maybe they've got a great reason. Maybe they're doing it the right way, but I want them to know why. And to think about that through everything. One of my agents one time had called me for an answer. This was back when I was the broker of the entire state. And she'd worked with me at another company. But she called me for an answer on something. And I said, okay, well, do this, this, and this. And I gave her good instruction as a broker and a few other perspectives. And asked her some questions. And she hung up. And she tells me this story today. I think it's the funniest thing. She said, I was thinking, Daryl, you don't know how this works. You're the broker. I call you. You give me the solution, and then I go on about my thing. But she says it in a way. She's now a coach, a mentor and coach for other agents. And she said that was the most growth moment of my career, because I was now empowered to do something to fix my own problem. So she hasn't called me to fix a problem. Now I feel worthless. Like, what is my identity? But that's where that's a real joy of being. We'd worked together previously, and she was in a position to serve someone else, but to never really be empowered herself. And so to be able to empower someone and know they don't have to have me anymore is this weird feeling of, okay, you better be prepared for that, because now my self-worth isn't built around people needing me, but I can look at all of the impact that's made with other people and take some real joy and satisfaction.
Well, congrats on going from enabler to empowerer.
Yeah, and we're all enablers in that way.
Oh yeah, we sure are.
We enable people in our relationships. I mean, you can be the enabler in a drug abuse or alcoholic situation. You can be the enabler with somebody who's not emotionally maturing the way they should. We can do it in our work environments. So it takes all kinds of different forms. So now I ask myself, how am I doing that? and look at yourself in a mirror without. I changed my Facebook little summary to say, and a friend gave this to me, and I just loved it so much, I immediately put it on my Facebook, that I am a recovering hypocrite. And it just makes me feel so, every time I read it, it's like, yep, you are.
Well, I certainly see the progress that you've made over the years. It's just fun to watch. And please don't ever stop being peculiar.
I'll work on that.
Your seasonal residents, I imagine there's sometimes that you might have to take appointments where you're not face-to-face or in person with a client. How do you manage that on the listing side?
Oh, just Zoom. You know, it's super easy these days. You know, most of these people are doing Zoom meetings anyway. So we have a, corporate Zoom account that I signed up, and, I have a beautiful Lake Tahoe background in my Zoom. So anyone I'm talking to, even in my real estate license research last week, I had my Lake Tahoe background, behind me. And like from day one, I set that up, and it took a lot of people a lot of time to figure out the fact that they didn't need to have, their closet doors behind their head, when they're on the Zoom meetings, right? And so we just did that. And I think, once again, the presentation's key. So like you're showing up that way. On that, I created basically a photo on Publisher, and I put my name, my brokerage number, the Sotheby's logo, and my contact information around my head on this picture. And so like when I talked to them, they never had to ask me for my number. It was all right there. And it was just, the presentation was just there. What I find is like some clients still really like to do it that way. Many of our clients are very introverted. They don't want people to know who they are. They don't want people to know money. We sign NDAs all the time. And so Zoom is a very safe space for them to be. And I don't record anything with that. You know, we basically just both take notes. We come to a conclusion. I send them the listing contract and we're done. And then we take the ball. And then, you know, the next thing you know, they just hand you off to their team, their asset team, and they go from there.
Do you have any materials you send ahead of time?
I do, yeah. We have a whole process for how we list properties. You know, we get the initial call. From the initial call, we set an appointment to actually have a sit down or a Zoom meeting. After that Zoom meeting, I send them a whole, and it's either before or after, depending upon what the timeline looks like, but I send them what I call the pre-listing email, which is basically who we are, what we do, why we do it, a list of Sotheby's videos on YouTube, our most successful videos on YouTube, our gem group pages, and all of our social media. So they can see everything initially. And then as soon as we're done sending that email, we put all of our print media into a triple fold binder and we mail that off to them so it's at their house in 2 days. We send it via FedEx so it's at their house in 2 days. And then we just wait. And we wait for about 2 or 3 days to see if they call us back. Usually if we don't hear from them in 2 days, I will follow up with a phone call and confirm that they got everything, because the other problem that we deal with, you know, Podunk Tahoe, is that, you know, the postal service just sucks. I mean, between storms, I mean, I have Amazon, my average Amazon order today takes like almost 7 days to get to me, you know, and I'm a Prime member, you know.
That used to mean something.
Right, I think Amazon's going downhill. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, so, you know, we send all of that to them, and usually by the time they get that, like any other competition is out of their mind, right? Because we've positioned it to win. So by the time that we actually get to signing the listing contract, they know our value proposition, right? They know what we're going to bring to the table. You know, I send them a book of references, you know, everything. And for upper end clients, I will even print like a photo book and hand it to them. I'll mail a photo book of our work to them.
What's in the photo book?
Just like past listing brochures, everything else. But I make it on, what's that program called? Shutterfly. And so I'll take our images and I'll kind of like arrange them, and it'll be, you know, it'll be like a 1/2-inch book that's a hard table book of our beautiful work. So when they open it up, it's like this presentation of like gorgeous properties that we've listed. And I'm always taking photos myself. I'm always shooting videos myself. So a lot of the photos are photos I've taken myself. And then, you know, my photographer I've personally trained for 12 years. I don't use anyone else. He knows my expectations. I walk in the house, I tell him what I'm looking for. This is a 1-point perspective house, this is a 2-point perspective house, this is the diagonal house. And you set it up so that visually it's stimulating for everyone who looks at everything, right? And so like when they have the tactile response, they have the visual response, they have the audio response, and like all of a sudden you've hit 3 of the 5 senses, right? And then I wear a really nice cologne too, so when I meet them in person, you know.
Trying to hit that 4th sense.
Get that 4th sense, yeah, exactly.
I think one of the other top ROI, I think what a lot of people forget is time management.
Talk to me about that.
You know, once we excel in our business and we build a business, truly a business, we forget that we actually have an hourly rate. At any other job you go to from 9 to 5, you're being offered an hourly rate. And you got to make sure as a self-employment that you understand what your hourly rate is. So your time management is extremely important. I see a lot of real estate agents that are actually getting to the office by 9 a.m. and they make their first phone call by 11 o'clock because we need to catch up, you know, for 2 hours of what happened the day before. So, and then we have lunch, and then we might work another couple of hours. So we've been in the office for a total of 8 hours, but we actually only worked 3.5 of that. So time management is important, that we spend every single minute while we're at work wisely. And of course, there's time to connect with other agents in the office, but you got to make sure that you have to limit that and that it doesn't become a complete social endeavor, you know, during the entire day. So, and I think that's where a lot of colleagues that I see, they kind of sabotage their own time management schedule. And I think that's the key part. That's the biggest ROI, because time, we only have so many hours in the day.
Right.
And if you waste your time on non-productive items, that's the greatest loss of ROI, I believe.
I'd agree with you. So how do you help your agents with their time management?
Accountability, or weekly accountability. They know how many calls they have to, or not calls, contacts they have to make in each and every single day. And if they don't make them that day, that they have to process that, that rolls over to the next following day. So if they only made 7 contacts, then the next day, instead of 10 contacts, they got to make 13 contacts. So it automatically rolls over. And then after 2 weeks, if those contacts are not been made, we're going to sit down, like, what happened? You know, was it a personal or family affair that came between? You know, what happened with the time frame? And then we're also going to adjust the lead flow again, if that's the case.
Very smart.
Yeah.
You really treat this business as a business.
You have to. But you can be kind and make a difference in somebody's life by having a very successful business too.
For sure.
And being respected by your team members.
Well, you're the proof of concept for sure, my friend. What advice would you give me if I'm that struggling agent who thinks I have to just drop everything and run when the phone rings?
Well, one of the things, I am a time blocker. I block everything. I'm probably OCD time blocker. Lindsay.
Probably.
So I really live by a schedule. It doesn't mean that things don't move around, that, you know, things happen, life happens. But when somebody calls me and they want to see a house and they're trying to lead and have me follow, I always, you know, I have appointments in my schedule. And that might be an appointment to do something with Lindsay, or it might be an appointment to go to lunch with a friend. And so I'm very good about saying, you know, I already have an appointment at that time. Would this other time work for you, right? And very rarely do I give up anything, you know, that's important to me. I don't drop things to sell real estate, right? So yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I deal with it. Lindsay may deal with it differently than I do because he's not an OCD time blocker. He's good at flying by the seat of his pants.
But I still have blocks in my schedule. I mean, I still time block. But I would say, and I remember being years ago, I was out door knocking and there was a brand new agent that wanted to go door knocking. So I said, okay, I'll take you out and I'll show you how. And as I was door knocking, I got a message from the office that someone wanted me to list their house. And the agent said to me, like I did return the call, and the call, they said, could you come over right now? And I said, no. I said, because, you know, I'm at an appointment now. Anyways, I ended up booking the appointment. And the agent said to me, are you kidding me? Like, you didn't just rush over there and list the house? And I said, no, I have an appointment right now. I have a time block with you door knocking. And I guess what it comes down to is, if you were doing a listing presentation and your phone goes off, you're probably not going to answer it because you want to be focused on that. So as long as you're focused on whatever the task is at hand, that's how you get the kind of the richness out of the experience with whatever you're trying to do. So to me, it's a lot of it's got to do with knowing what's your dollar per hour worth and knowing which activities bring you closer to your dollar per hour. So, I mean, if like as Wendy said, if somebody calls you and wants to see a house and you don't even know who they are, that's on the low scale of the dollar productive activity. And if you're doing something that'll bring you more value, then you stick with what you're doing. So, you know, one of the trainers said, someone's going to be in control in real estate. Either you're going to be in control or they're going to be in control, and you get to choose.
It's great advice.
If you want to figure out what CRM you want to use, here's how I would share it. Take your whole list and move 5 people a day into the CRM you want to use. If you got 2 or 3 and you can do a 30-day trial, sign up for 3 of them, put 3 people in one, 3 people in another, 3 people in another. That would be, 9 people a day I'm making contact with. But to move them off my other list or my other database, you got to pick up the phone and call them and drop a handwritten note in the mail. The systems aren't up yet. Just do those 2 things. You will double your business. You don't export everybody and import them into a new database. It has never, ever, ever worked. It will shut you down business-wise for 2 to 3 weeks to clean everything up. Not everything will transfer. You'll be a total mess. Every single person that's ever tried to do it, that's all I've ever heard the result be, right? But if you just take 5 people a day and move them into this new database, 2 things are happening. 1, I'm connecting with everybody before I put them in. That's the most important thing you could do. Second thing is, I know all these people are still sitting on this list. They haven't heard from you. Well, they're not anyway, so don't worry about that. So I move these 5 people in, I move them, but now I'm just figuring out how to add 5 people into the database. That's a chore in itself. It might take me an hour just to figure out how to put their name and address in.
Well, you're learning the new system.
Tomorrow I add 5 more people. Oh, I got the name and address in easy, but now where's this? How do I toggle that? Whatever. 5 people the next day, 5. In 30 days, you'll have a master class on that database because you know it inside and out. You know everything it does and everything it doesn't do.
So excuse number 1, but Brad, I have 5,000 people in my database. That's going to take forever.
Yep, 5 years. 5 years at 5 a day. But guess what? You're not going to do anything with them in the next 5 years anyway, other than just keep doing what you're doing. Let your little automated thing run. Let you do your business that you're doing with your 5,000. But once you move them into your new system, put them on the more aggressive follow-up plan. It's not, your business isn't going to change. It's going to get 10 times better. But yeah, I mean, it's only 1,000. If you did 5 people a day, 5 days a week, and you did it every day for 2024, you will have 1,200 people that you've personally talked to, received your handwritten note that said it was so great connecting. Whether you do anything after that, your business is going to double or triple.
Okay, so the next excuse number 2, but I'm so busy. When am I going to find time to do this?
Love it. Love it. So I can only talk from experience.
Yes, sir.
You get to ease into this crazy 100 sales a year because you're not going to have 100 sales tomorrow. If I add 5 people today, 5 people tomorrow, 5 people the next day, in 30 days, I'll have added 100 people, right?
Yep.
So in 30 days, I'm not top of mind with these 100 people yet. But what I do know is if they're moving every 5 to 10 years, somewhere around 10 to 20 of those people are moving in the next 12 months. We're just talking the first month,
Yep.
right? 10 to 20 of those people are moving in the next 12 months. But for month number 2, it's only 1 or 2 of them that are moving next month. So I have to be top of mind with all 100 to get both deals next month. I'm not going to be there yet. I'm not going to be top of mind for these 100 people until 3 months, 4 months, 6 months from now. So in 6 months, I'll probably have, there's an opportunity for 6 to 12 sales in the next 6 months. I'll catch 6 of them. But you'll see those 6 are pretty easy to do over 6 months.
Yeah.
Now, the next 6 months, I still won't be top of mind with the second batch that I put in during that 6 months. Following me?
Yep.
But I will grab another 6 from those. And now I'm grabbing 8 or 10 from the first group because now I'm more top of mind. So what you do is you grow into your business gradually so you can add the people and add the things that you need to get.
Compound effect by Brad Korn.
God. Crazy.
It's simple.
It's simple.
Why don't
It's not going to
people do it?
overwhelm you. And exporting your 5,000 people into this new system, I promise you, you won't have 100 sales out of that either. You'll have the same thing you had at the old one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a compound growth and you get to grow into it.
Okay, excuse number 3. But Brad, I don't want to pay for 2 systems.
Yeah, how much are databases now?
Depends on the database.
Depends on the database. There's free ones. Top producer is like $35 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's the great price. What I probably wouldn't do, what I would caution anyone from is the ones that charge by how many people you have in the database. Because there's some out there that they're charging $500, $1,000 a month. You don't need those. All you need is something to remind you to pick up the phone and call everybody every quarter, every 3 months.
Yeah.
So 4 times a year. four personal touches a year, whether that's the chicken scratch on the letter or a personal text going, hey, I just saw your Facebook post, whatever, stay connected with your community. So I know, like, even plugging into Facebook.
I want to back up to the systems for just a minute, because before, during, after the sale, that's all there. How often are you reviewing those systems to determine if they're still accurate or need changes? Or have you empowered your team members to do that?
The team members do it. Now, if I get a phone call, though, that says, and it's an uh-oh phone call, like, oh, shoot, we forgot to do something, then I go to the team and we'll say, hey, how can we make sure this never happens again? Or if it was something, because sometimes we're human, so something on the plan might get marked off as done and it didn't get done, but it was an accident that it got marked off. Or it may be something like, wow, we haven't experienced that before. We need to put that into the plan. So they're fluid. They change throughout the year, and the team usually knows if it's something that they need to take off, and they'll run it past me and just say, hey, we're going to take this off. Is that okay?
That's great that you have that empowerment that you've given them to identify and make those changes.
I have an amazing admin staff. They're wonderful.
So one buyer agent and then two. I think something that you guys all struggle with is the delegation and the letting go. How did you make that transition with the buyer agents to take the buyers off of your plate, your frenetic 180 pace, and now you're giving it to somebody else? And I know quality is very important to you. So how do you ensure when you start having the buyers be handled by other agents that your level of service and quality stays intact?
Well, that's a challenge. I mean, that's an ongoing challenge. So I know that it's not the same level that I used to give. Now, some of my buyer agents are amazing, and they do give that level of service, and I'm so proud of them. And then some, I shake my head, and I'm like, we've trained them, we've told them, and it gets frustrating, and sometimes those agents have to be let go because we tell them up front, it's rigorous. It's not easy here. You have to follow our systems, but the systems that we have in place with the admin side of the staff really helps to ensure that the buyers or sellers are really taken care of. And we have those, drip campaigns in place, but drips do not take care of personal service either. So there's calls and there's text messages that are in place too.
Great.
Like, I'm the type of person that I lose my keys all the time. And so that's such a waste of time. Like, you're so inefficient because you're wasting your time. So you know what I taught myself to do? I hang a hook right next to my door so that when I walk in, I developed a habit that I hang my keys next to the door. Which, by the way, when you leave, they're right there, you grab them. But I always know where the keys are. They're either in my pocket or they're on the hook. If they're not that, then I've done something wrong. But that's a system that keeps you organized. You apply that same thing to your business so that you have the checklists, you have the ways that you systematize it, and then you go about it. Then I don't have to worry about my natural predisposition to just be disorganized and kind of connect things the way that I feel about them. Because I know that's what I would do if I were left to my own devices. And that's why I find systems to be so important, is so that you're always giving the same consistency and the same thoroughness. Because I wouldn't say that I'm a perfectionist, but I really don't like when I know I could have done something better. And so I like removing any of the predictable sources of failure and making sure that I'm setting myself up for success.
So from Keep to Optimize on systems specifically, you walked into an established team. They were already using the systems. Who's looking at those systems for the optimization opportunities? Is it Aaron? Is it the existing team members? Is it a combination of
It's
the
a little
two?
of both. And part of that's change management, though, because you can't just come in and say, we're going to do this new thing. You have to figure out what's the pain point. You have to build common understanding that it is a pain point, and then look for what the solution is going to be. I've tried before to say, here's a new thing that we're going to do, and it lands like a lead balloon because we already know how we're doing it. We do it this way all the time. And so you look for an opportunity where something happens, or you look for a gap in the process flow where we're dropping the ball repeatedly. Like, one thing that we used to write out of contracts was prorating the fuel in the tank. Maine gets cold in the winter, people pay for heating fuel. When heating fuel prices are low, people care a little bit less about throwing in the oil in the tank. When prices go up like they are right now, everyone cares about it because they remember the check they wrote to pay $1,000 to fill the heating oil tank. And so we didn't have a step in the process where we made sure that we checked it. We used to back in the day when it was important, but we got away from it. And so I remember having the conversation, this is something we need to do. And the team pushed back and they said, no, we've always dealt with it well, whatever else. And so I found 2 more times where we didn't do it right. I said, oh, wow, I've noticed that we're getting this wrong or this got messed up or this, whatever. How do you think we should fix it? And they said, oh, here are the ways that we could add it to our current process. Or we have a CRM that had function issues. And so I just said, let's make a list of all of the challenges. But you have to build kind of this mutual understanding that there's a problem. So we say, okay, well, here are all these function issues. Here are the things we can't do. What are the things we would like to do? I say, okay, well, if we would found another solution that could do that, because it's annoying to learn new things. It's annoying to adopt new systems because you're spending time and energy being uncomfortable and not being an expert again. And if you've been doing things the same way for 20 years, it's annoying for someone to come in and tell you to do them differently. So what you have to do, and this is something that I learned working with big organizations, like you really need people to connect with why it's important, but it can't just be important to the business. It has to be important to them.
Yes.
And the way that we do that in our own team and our own business is the same way we do it with clients. It's through the telling of stories.
Early on, and I think this, I learned this basically in my career prior to real estate. And certainly even prior to that career, when I made somebody else's dream happen for them. Again, I never wanted to get in the restaurant industry. I made that happen for my ex. And so if you let people devalue you, whether it be professional fee, please don't ever use the C word, but if you let people devalue you in any way, respect or whatever the case may be, that's something you're allowing that into your life, right? And to me, I love energy that is positive. I try to be a positive force when I go into a room because if you do it once, you'll do it again and again and again. And that's something I've been really steadfast on is if somebody is disrespectful to somebody on my team, somebody I'm even around, that's just not cool. I just don't do that. And if you do the right things, it will get better. Focus on, we've heard this time and time again. And, Buffini, all sorts of different coaches say this, focus on the activities and the product, and the productivity will come. It's like my aunt used to say to me, live where you want to live, the rest will follow, even the job and the money, whatever you need, right? It'll just live where you want to live. And that's, I've taken that to heart, as you well know.
Literally and not just figuratively.
And so, I know it's hard. I mean, depending on where you are and what's going on and with the market right now, but it will turn around, and if I heard a great thing from Dirk Zeller not too long ago. He said, stay in your lane. Well, we all know that, but what he meant is stay in your lane. If you think that it's an opportunity market, then that's the communication you should do. If you think it's, the sky is falling and it's Chicken Little time and, we're going to have a, massive recession, then, then that's where it's going to be. I choose to be opportunity market, and opportunities always look to help people and the rest will follow.
What are the creative ways you're looking for opportunities right now?
Basically, we're largely, like 87.5%, and that, it's usually anywhere from 85 to 90% of our businesses is referrals. And I also include in that, referrals from other agents. I mean, there are occasional people that find us online, and we turn them into advocates over the years. Some of those people have done 4, 5, 6, 7 transactions with me. But, get back into the database. I truly think that that's where the opportunity lies. These are people that already know you, right? Make them feel like they're being heard. Make them feel like they matter. Even your other fellow agents you haven't talked to in a long time. I mean, I know lots of agents all over the country and beyond, right? Just from all of the speaking I've done at conferences and the things I've attended and people I've learned from. I'm really trying to, yes, we've gotten busy and yes, I've gotten away from that and that's my fault and my bad, but I'm trying to really get back and let those people know that they matter to me. I really think that that's what the key is.
I read a survey recently done by NAR, National Association of Realtors, that they surveyed a bunch of, I can't remember if it was home buyers or home sellers, but it was from 7 years ago. And what percentage remembered their realtor? And the answer was 5%.
Wow.
That's on us. That's not the client's fault. That's on us for not staying in touch. And that's all that you've got to do. Another thing that I learned along the way from another Star Power star, because that's where I learned everything from, was to adopt orphan clients. And what that means is that if I sold somebody else's listing, my buyers went in there to mail the seller, or vice versa, if I represented the seller and buyer and so on, you adopt that other client. And I thought, I can't do that. That other agent's going to get really upset. It's not ethical, blah, 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 blah. But then I realized they're not staying in touch with their clients. So one time I added all of the orphan clients who spent days looking everybody up in tax records and so on, and adding them. And I literally went on vacation for a few days because I didn't want to get the phone calls of pissed off agents. Nobody called because they're not staying in touch with their own clients. And to this day, I bumped into somebody at Portland Airport a couple of months ago who said, "Hey, Rob, I'm so-and-so. You sold us our house." And I didn't remember them. Well, they were the seller, which I represented the buyer, but she remembered me because I added her to the mailing address I added her mailing address to my database at her new address. And I just listed their house. So just staying in touch with people is a thrill for me. It's kind of a game. How much, if I do this, what will happen?
Well, Rob, I just really want to thank you because staying in touch with you has been just such a benefit to me. And I think to anyone who's watching this, there is so much they can learn from thinking about how to transition your own career, to investing in real estate, approaching that as real estate professionals, to considering this as a career, not a hobby, to considering demographic trends, to many of the different things that you've talked about. I think there is so much for people to take away from this conversation. And I know you'll be at the Star Power Conference.
I will.
And you'll be there for anyone who wants to ask you questions or learn more. Is there a closing thought you want to share with our viewers?
Gosh, there'd be so many of them. But I think it comes back to what you just said. This can be an incredibly rewarding and incredibly lucrative career. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. I didn't even graduate high school. There's a lot of realtors I know that didn't. It's, you've just got to work it. You've got to make a plan and work your plan. And all of the instructions are out there, and they're all available for you for free, and you just have to do it. And it's just the simplest of things to do, and start building up that clientele and building up that relationship with those people, and then business will fall in your lap. You just got to stay on it.
Well, thank you so much. I think we can all agree that this has been an incredibly valuable interview. I want to once again thank Rob for his time, for his generosity, and encourage you all to come to the Star Power Conference so that you can meet him in person and to learn more directly. On behalf of Star Power, this is Aaron Chadbourne.